Salute, family. How's it going? How's it going? Struggle streaming already? Struggle streaming. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, everyone? It's been some time since we've gotten together, but today we're gonna have some conversations. Hopefully, learn some things and really just create an opportunity for us to have a dialogue. There's been some interesting information that's been shared in the news lately, about everything that's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in our world, in the US economy. And I'd say that there's a lot that can be said about the things that are transpiring. And the title of today's show, Here's Why Working Hard Alone Doesn't Make Sense. Especially when it comes to the idea of you working hard forever, right? Forever, like the young guy said in Sandlot, where it seemed like it was an eternity. I can say that, it's interesting attempting to figure out the US economic system and to see how things function and how the world operates as a whole. It's an interesting journey overall. But I can say that, I feel like I'm getting a good idea of how things work, how the financial markets work, how the education system works, how the corporate world works. And I think that the things that we can all learn from the things that are transpiring and taking place. So in the news this week, what you'll get from our conversation today is you'll hopefully learn some things that you had not learned about how the Fed works. There's a whole bunch of discussion about the Fed doing this and the Fed doing that. There's a whole bunch of conversations that have gone on about Elon Musk buying Twitter, what that means for social media, what that means for people who feel like their free speech is being invoked on. The bills that are being signed and being moved through the process. So we'll be discussing those. We'll be discussing the marijuana bill and how it seeks to potentially benefit or potentially marginalize certain groups of people. All these different things affect our money. They impact the way that we live and move around in this world. And before I get started, I'd like to give an opportunity to salute everyone. Salute Before the Billions. Salute Gail at Night. I appreciate y'all coming through and checking me out. I've taken a hiatus from content creation for some time in order really to work on my mental health and just to take a break in order for me to have an opportunity to dive into more of who I am and what I really want to do in this space. And I really want to have, fruitful conversations about things that make sense. And I don't really want to spend too much time on things that don't have the potential to benefit us and they're not going to move us in the positive direction. And when I say us, I'm referring to my future children. I'm referring to the community at large, just really having fruitful discussions overall. And the things that I see that really don't make sense, but it really becomes a situation where you have to be in a privileged position, and that privilege can come in the form of either you creating that privilege, or it can be something that's handed off to you, and you're being educated and schooled on how it comes about and how everything works. And so I want you to bear with me as I am out of practice, and I want to make sure that I am doing this right. Before we get started, I'd like to take out some time to also acknowledge the fact that today is another day. And you know what? Something that's interesting is, I have to say this as a man. I don't know. Before the Billions, you can relate. Maybe Gail at night and Mrs. B Finesse can't relate. You know. I know there's a whole narrative with guys where there's pressure for guys to grow these beards, and guys that have beards are regarded as being these regal gentlemen and these uh I don't know if I'd say desirable men, but I have something to say about that. Um, as I it as a man in his 20s, I recall myself being in a situation where I was fighting and I wanted to have a beard so bad, and I said, man, only if my hair would grow, maybe my appeal will increase, and it took some time. Even back then I said, man, I'll probably be 35 before I can actually grow a beard. And funny enough, that's essentially how it worked out. But let me tell y'all something funny that happened, right? So as a younger man, I recall, your hair, especially in America, your hair is so important as far as your presentation, right? So you do everything you can to make sure that you're presentable, and you're looking your very best. And I was one of those guys who had waves, right? And waves are essentially broken curls where your curl breaks, and then you have these lines that go across horizontally on your hair, right? So here I am as a young man fighting to have waves, right? Even going to the length of putting texturizer in there, thinking that it actually improved my opportunities, right? But I discovered after some time that me putting texturizers and stuff in there was not helping me out. And texturizers, for people who do not wear, texturizer essentially takes hair that's curly and it makes it into loose curls, or it makes it almost like straight, right? So you do it in the, you apply it to your hair in order to make your hair look, uh, I'd say, less curly, not as tight of curls. Anyway, so so for a long time I was regarded as see you with the waves, right? And I'll tell you something that's depressing. When you start talking about growing a beard, I figured out that you get an option to choose. You get to choose one. A lot of times, some people get two, but you really get one choice, right? And the choice that you have is either the hair or the beard, right? You don't oftentimes get both, right? The hair or the beard, right? And so I told you that I was 35 before I was actually able to grow my beard, right? So I'm a late bloomer in that sense, right? But let me tell y'all what's happening, right? So now, since I'm growing my beard, my hair doesn't want to grow, right? So I'm in a situation now where I'm saying, man, what would have happened if I wasn't so pressed to grow a beard? Maybe my hair would still be growing like it's supposed to, right? And I don't know. It's a tough thing to deal with, especially when, I like to say, like, my head, I don't know, it won't really look good bald. I have the type of head that, like, an adventurous head. That's what I call it. There's a whole bunch of, I almost treated my head like luggage. Like luggage that you just dragging it around, coming along with you, and bumps, bruises, knots, everything. I was exposing myself to all kinds of wild stuff. So, I have some adventurous times with my head. So I don't know if I'm prepared to be bald yet. But man, but the real issue is now I'm stuck in the middle, right? I'm stuck between a struggle beard, right? Struggle beard and hair that's not growing like it used to. So if any of you have any suggestions or any recommendations, if you have any type of concoction that maybe I could brew up, that'd be really helpful, because I'm stuck in the middle over here. Struggle can't have struggle hair and a struggle beard at the same time. So I just need some coaching. Maybe I can get some of the old heads to school me on what to do. But so I wanted to mention that. We out here all fighting battles. And mine is the beard and the hair battle. But moving on to our topic today, right? Let me see if I can get this right. Let me share. I want to say. So let me share what's going on. Let's see if I can get this correct. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Let me see if I can get this right. Give me a second. Salute to Peter Investor M. Salute. Now that's a knowledgeable brother. Matter of fact, everyone that I've come across has added tremendous value into my life. I love the way Before the Billions runs his streams. I love the way Gail at Night runs her streams. I watched her stream, I want to say last night. I think it was last night with Nelson Counseling. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Before the Billions is killing it out here. He has amazing streams, and he has all kinds of content that he's sharing with us out here. Mrs. B Finesse, I saw that you went live today as well, and I wasn't able to catch it. Today was a hectic day, but I will be part of the replay gang. So that's a video clip I want to pull up, guys. Give me a second. I don't know what's going on. Let me see if I can get this right. But so type in the chat if you know any remedies, any solutions that you can suggest to me, man, about my struggle beard and my struggle hair. I don't know if I'm ready to give it up yet, you know. Like what do you really need chest hair for, right? You know, is it possible for me to take my chest hair and use it on my head, you know? Do you know if there are transplants that can be done with that? I mean, what do we use chest hair for today anyway? Besides pushing up on your shirt. I'm curious. But yeah, so salute to Lashes Journey. Welcome. I'm glad to see you here. It's been too long for me. All right, guys. I don't know why I'm struggling. I'm attempting to pull this up right here. All right. I'm close. You said wash and condition your hair? Wash and condition my hair with what? You know, I have a situation where I'm not able to actually use a bunch of stuff on my hair because it's sensitive to oil. And you know that the oils that are in my hair products end up on my forehead, and they end up breaking me out, and we end up struggling out here. So let's see. Share screen. Okay, all right. We're just gonna have to let's see. Give me a second, guys. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm working on my production quality. I'm attempting to be like Before the Billions. I'm not ready for OBS yet, but I do want to prepare myself to step my game up. Right? So let's talk about this right here. Let's see if I can pull this up. Give me a second. Struggle streaming. Let's see if this will let me do it. All right, close Safari. Struggle streaming over here. Okay, all right. Let's see if this works. All right. But yeah, so you said shampoo and conditioner for sensitive skin and hair. You think so? Yeah, I have to find it, man. I have to see if that works because, man, who wants to be out here with a struggle beard and a struggle hair? It's rough out here. I'm not ready for a bald, adventurous head out here, you know. But I mean, I am older. It's not like I'm in middle school where I have to worry about being picked on. So maybe that's not an issue. We'll see. So let's see. I'm almost ready. Let's see if this works right here. Share screen. Oh man. But yeah, so I'm sure the ladies, you know, I don't know if it's testosterone or what that causes men to start losing their hair. But I can tell you that the ladies don't have those same challenges before the billions. Peter Investor M, do you have any recommendations to keep your hair from falling out, man? To slow it down, rather? Slow it down, maybe. I'm trying to figure it out. One of the struggle bus over here. Trying not to walk around with a bald, adventurous head. Okay, so what do you all think about the things that have happened this week? What were your thoughts when you first heard about? Yeah, it's possible genetics. They say it comes from your mom's side of the family. So your mom's father, they say, is the one that contributes to you either having hair or losing hair. And my grandfather passed away when I was younger, so it's not something that I'm really 100% familiar with. But I can say that it's interesting. So what do you all? I'm on Mrs. B Finesse. I'm on StreamYard, and I was attempting to play a video clip that I have loaded up, but it was acting up. Maybe I need a go brand. Okay, I think I know. It goes. Let me know. This should. Let's see if this shows right here. Okay. Did you guys see that? Let me know. Put a 1 in the chat if you were able to see that short little clip. I know Peter Investor M. I literally have to be grateful for every follicle every day. It's almost like maybe I need to stop every day and just take out some time to commemorate the follicles that are still standing up, holding strong, fighting the good fight. All right. So let's see if I can share my screen now. Okay. I was able to figure out Mrs. B Finesse, we're struggling over here. Let's see. 2 monitors, share screen. Which screen do I want to share? Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. So I hope you guys can see me. I think you can. All right. So for real, before the billions, listen, man. Listen, I need full consideration. Let me see if I can zoom in my screen. Listen, I need the homies to please have some grace on me, man. I'm not ready for it, man. I'm not ready at all. I'd rather not, honestly, man. But man, I'm going to tell you one last story, and then I get to it, right? So one thing that I realized when I first came to America was, around the springtime. So salute, First Gen Corporate. Welcome to see you here. So let me tell y'all one last funny story, right? So here I am, right? The springtime, I'm in America, right? Springtime, the shorts are coming out, warm weather, you're in class and everything, right? And I would sit there in class, right? And I would see I'd see the guys in the class, and I would, sometimes you get bored in class and you just sit in there, right? And I'd be looking down and I would see guys with no scars on their legs, right? And I'd always say to myself, how in the world are these guys living a life without a whole bunch of scars? And so I treated my legs just like I treated my head, It was literally like I would bring them on my adventures, doing all kinds of wild stuff, climbing trees, riding bikes, doing jumps, all kinds of wild stuff, right? And I was always curious about how in the world a young boy can make it to like 10 years old, no scars on his legs. And it just seemed like there were no adventures that they were going on. And for me, man, I have a story to tell for every single scar. It was a lot of it was something wild, me doing something wild, crazy, or what have you. But let's have a conversation about this right here, right? So let's take a look at this, right? So Elon Musk on the 18th, on the 28th, was talking about he was considering buying a new social media platform, right? And one thing that's really interesting about this right here is that the billionaire is saying that the billionaire made a remark after claiming Twitter doesn't allow for free speech, right? It says, given that Twitter serves as the de facto public square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy, he wrote on Twitter. Now look at the date that he actually said this. And I think to be correct, I want to say he said this actually on the 20, I want to say on the 26th. This is a tweet right here where he said that he said that he's seriously considering buying a social, he's seriously considering creating a social media platform just because he was not really happy with what was happening with Twitter, right? And I just really want to point out how these people online, a lot of times when they're having conversations, I feel like they end up just being loaded conversations. Because if you pay attention to the date, it was the 26th when he actually made the statement, right? And what's interesting is that, let me share with you all this right here. What's interesting is that, now excuse me, we're struggle streaming. All right, I hope you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? Right? So let me tell you what Elon Musk did just 10 days, about 10 days before he even had that conversation, right? On about Twitter, about buying Twitter. On the 14th of March, Elon Musk, this is the SEC filing. This is the document essentially that he has to fill out in order for him to say that he's interested in buying however many shares or whatever stock or what have you. So on the 14th, he had made the decision to buy 73 million shares, almost 75 million shares of Twitter, right? Now, before the billions, do you recall our conversation before where we said, in order for you to really understand how an organization works, you need to do one thing in order for you to really understand who are the people that are really holding power in these organizations, right? And let me see if I could pull this up. I hope I have it. I might not, I'm struggling out here. Let's so he bought 73 million shares, right? So let's talk about some of the benefits of being a shareholder, right? So this is something that you all should be aware of as well as shareholders if you own individual shares of any given company, right? What are shareholders' rights, right? Right? And it says right here, if you bought Disney as a part owner of the company, does that mean that you and the family can hit Disneyland for free this summer? Or does Anheuser-Busch shareholders receive a case of beer every quarter? Right? They say that the hypothetical perks are highly unlikely, but they raise a question: what rights and privileges do shareholders have? Right? And right here, if a company liquidates, these are the key takeaways. If a company liquidates, creditors are the first ones to have their debts paid for their company's assets. Bondholders are next in line to receive any proceeds from liquidation. They say that common shareholders are last to have any debts paid for liquidating companies. Common shareholders are granted 6 rights: voting power, ownership, the right to transfer ownership, dividends, the right to inspect corporate documents, and the right to sue for wrongful acts. right? And this is powerful right here, right? And one of the things that I've discovered within the last 2 years is the one position that is unfireable is the position of a shareholder. You understand that a lot of these corporations model everything that they do to satisfy the shareholders. So if you want to be in an unfireable position, you want to be a shareholder. Now, I'm not saying, now let's be clear, right? So this is not investing advice, right? This is just information, right? It's just financial information, but things that should be considered as a part of this whole adulting thing and living in this society, right? Because a lot of people would love the opportunity to participate in the market here in America, right? They say the levels of ownership rights, right? Every company has a hierarchical structure for the three main classes of securities, right? That companies issue. You have bonds, preferred stock, and common stock. In other words, that's the pecking order of the rights, right? So the bonds, preferred stock, and common stock, right? The priority of each class of the security is best understood by looking at what happens when a company goes bankrupt, right? It said that you may think that the common shareholder with an ownership stake in the company would be first in line to receive a portion of the company's assets if they were bankrupt. But in reality, common shareholders are the bottom of the corporate food chain when companies liquidate, right? During insolvency, and that's the process where the company is being dissolved. Proceedings, the creditors are the first to have their outstanding debts paid, right? So I'm not going to go through all of this with you all, but I just wanted to share some things, right? Let's discuss the risk and rewards, right? Common shareholders are part owners of the business. If the business can turn a profit, common shareholders benefit. The liquidation preference we described above has logical sense. Shareholders take on greater risk as they receive next to nothing if the firm goes bankrupt, right? So, but they also have a greater reward potential through exposure to share price appreciation when a company succeeds. Preferred shareholders generally experience less price fluctuation, right? So, there's something that I really thought about as I've started to embark a little bit more into the investing world. There's an experience that I feel like every child should experience, and that's the request to vote as part of a proxy vote for a company. For me, it just seems like a dream for someone who's worked for majority of their life, and never really been involved in any decision making for any of these corporations. But to receive that message saying, hey, our quarterly meeting's coming up, so we would love for you to vote as a shareholder and give us your opinion on what's going on with the organization, And so I think that it's really amazing to live in this society where we have an opportunity to participate in what's going on, right? So let's discuss these main rights, and then we'll get back to our conversation, right? So the main rights is voting power on major issues, right? Voting power includes electing directors and proposals for fundamental changes affecting the company, such as mergers or liquidation. Voting takes place at the company's annual meeting, right? If the shareholder can't attend, they can do so by proxy and mail in their vote, right? So that's what I was just referring to. And so for me, like me being able to share that with my children, it just seems like an amazing opportunity. And if it's something that can be shared with them at a younger age, where a company that they admire or they appreciate is prompting them for them to vote, then they'll feel like an equal part, or maybe not equal, but they'll feel like a part of the decision-making process, right? It said that ownership in a portion of the company, right, is the second right. Previously, as we previously discussed, right, corporate liquidation where bondholders and preferred shareholders are paid first, right? However, when a business thrives, common shareholders own a piece of something that has value. Common shareholders have a claim on a portion of the assets owned by the company, right? All right, let's go. We're gonna go down here to this other guy, right? The right to transfer ownership, right? The right to transfer ownership means shareholders are allowed to trade their stock on exchange. The right to transfer ownership might seem mundane, but the liquidity provided by stock exchanges is important. Liquidity, the degree to which an asset or a security can quickly be bought or sold in the market without affecting the asset's price, is one of the key factors, right? So what's really unique and something that they don't speak to on here is what Peter Investor M is talking about here, right? Stock options, right? So stock options are not really mentioned here. And I would say that the potential reason why they're not mentioned is because they're generally part of the compensation plan. Is that not true? Peter Investor M, would you say that stock options are usually more a part of a compensation package and rather than just a holding position? Or what's your thought on that? You know, Peter Investor M is a financial ninja out here. He knows a lot of information. So, but we say that if an investor owns the property, it can take months to convert the investment into cash. Because stocks are so liquid, investors can move their money into other places almost instantaneously, right? Right. So what happens here is that the other right is entitlements to dividends, right? Along with the claim on assets, investors can receive a claim to any profits that the company pays out in the form of dividend, right? And the dividend is really amazing, right? So have you guys ever heard of the DRIP program? Are you familiar with the DRIP program? Put it in the chat if you know what DRIP stands for. DRIP. Put it in the chat. I'm curious if you all know what the DRIP program is. All right. All right. So number 5 says the opportunity to inspect corporate books. Look at this right here. The opportunity to inspect corporate books and records. I mean, just imagine that. You never worked a day in your life for the company, but you have an opportunity to inspect corporate books. And as I've worked, I've discovered that a good portion of the corporations really model their business in order to satisfy shareholders. And it was just something that I really started thinking about throughout this whole last 2 years. And I said, man, this is the only true way to become unfireable, is to be a shareholder, because no one can fire you. You don't have to ask for permission in order for you to buy your position. All you really have to have is the money, right? Shareholders have the right to examine basic documents such as company bylaws and minutes of the board meetings, right? In addition to the SEC Act of 1934, requires public companies to periodically disclose financials, right? Most companies produce two versions of the annual report. The 10K version must follow the filing requirements by the SEC, right? So I see. So let me see what you guys are saying. So, yep, First Gen Corporate got it, right? Dividend reinvestment program. And like that dividend reinvestment program is just, it seems like a small thing, but man, the power that has is amazing. Like for me, even in my small positions, just seeing your little dollars for you to be paid that money, and then that money is being invested back into your position, and your position, I'm saying that it moves back into the holdings that you have in the company. What's really amazing is that it's like an animal that just feeds itself. So it feeds itself and then it grows, It's just a wild idea. So the DRIP program is an amazing concept. I feel like if we have an opportunity to share this with our children as young as possible, with the advent of compounding interest if they start at a very young age for them to have these positions in these shares, even in these companies that they like and admire. You know, they have an opportunity to really put themselves in an amazing position, right? So Peter Investor M is responding to our question about stock options, right? The stock options serve as a negotiation to how to get compensated, right? So stock options and an opportunity. Well, you know what? Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up right here. Hold on. Let's pull it up. Let's see, I'm struggling, guys. Struggle bus. But we're gonna get this going. So yeah, because I'm interested in really having conversations from the standpoint of someone who's informed. And what are employee stock options, right? That's not a good one. Oh, man. Here we go. Good old trusty Investopedia, right? Investopedia likes to give you this stuff right here. I should have looked here. Stock option gives an investor the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell a stock at their agreed upon price and date. There are two types of options, right? Puts, which is the bet that the stock will fall, or calls, which is the bet that the stock will rise. Because it has shares of stock or a stock of index, it's an underlying asset. Stock options are a form of equity derivative and may be used for equity options, right? So employee stock options, ESOs, right, are a type of equity compensation given by companies to some employees or executives that are executives that are effectively amount to call options, right? So they amount to call options, right? Stock options give a trader the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell certain stocks or agreed upon at an agreed upon price. Stock options are common. Common options. One equity option contract generally represents 100 shares of underlying stock. There are two primary types of options: call puts. Oh my God, that was everything, right? And so one thing that I've heard Elon Musk mention, he's mentioned that he's been in dilemmas or been in situations where he's had to. I know recently he sold $6 billion. I want to say it was $6 billion in shares, something along those lines. Or he sold $6 billion in shares, but I'd like to say that he also took advantage of his stock options as part of his compensation plan, right? So I just wanted to share that with you all. So let's go back to what he said, right? So this is what he bought, right? 73 million. So he bought 73 million dollars. 73 million shares of Twitter, right? Let's see. All right. We're gonna pull this up, guys. I think it's safer this way. Because for some reason, so let's do this math real quick, because this thing gets really wild, right? So this gent bought 73 million. Oh man. Let's see if it works. Oh, we're struggling for sure. Here we go. I can remember the numbers. 73486 348 6938. Here we go. So on March 14th, this man bought. Why did I forget it already? Struggling over here. 73486 928 938 73486 938. Right? Will this thing let me copy his number? 73486 486. All right, let's see. Struggling over here. All right, so this man bought, check this out, right? So this man bought 73 million shares of this stock, right? Let me show you how much he bought it for. $32.69 per share, right? So this man spent $2.4 billion $2.4 billion on this transaction. Let me pull this up. Hold on. Yeah, I'm struggling, right? So $2.4 billion, right? And this happened on the 14th, right? On the 25th, he's having this conversation saying he's considering buying it, right? And so this was almost 2 weeks later that he was having this conversation. So he did this transaction, spent $2.4 billion, right? And then just this week, they announced that he has this week. This is what they announced. So before the billions, we talked about this on your platform. We talked about this on your platform, and let's see if this is going to be easy. This is not my favorite site right here. I don't know if I like it. All right. So let me share with you all this right here. All right. So I hope you all can see this, right? So this man spent $2.4 billion, right? On the 14th. He's having conversations online like he hasn't done anything, right? And this is part of the reason why I say that you can't believe anything that people say, because they always have stuff that's happening behind the scenes, right? So he's quiet, doesn't say nothing, starts to have conversation as if he has a position that's opposing what Twitter's doing, right? The whole time he's a shareholder, right? So remember, he bought 73 million shares. So as I've discussed before on Before the Billions platform, I said that we have to start looking at who the top shareholders are in these companies. If we're not really having conversations about who these people are, I'd say top 5, top 6, we can say top 10, whatever, right? We can look at their positions and see exactly what they have in these companies, right? And he's sitting up there speaking as if he's not an owner in the company. So by him actually purchasing 73 million shares, guess what? Vanguard has the highest position in Twitter, right? They have an 8.39% position. So now he has the biggest position in Twitter. And now his position is something like 9.18, something like that, right? 9.18. I could pull it up if we need to, but I mean, you can get it. You can get it right here. 63 million. It's wild, right? And this is the way I believe, and maybe somebody else can make a different recommendation. But when we start looking at these companies, we need to start seeing who are the people who are part of the governing part of the company, right? Vanguard. And as I demonstrated on Before the Billions platform, you'll start to see like a common thread in the top 5 positions on just about every single company in the world, every single company, right? You'll see this name right here. You'll see this name right here. I'm not familiar with this. Oh, this is State Street. You'll see State Street right here. I'm not sure what this right here. You see your lady Kathy Woods, ARK Investing. You know, what was interesting was Elon Musk has a bigger position in Twitter than Jack Dorsey does. Jack Dorsey's position is like, I think it's in between here, 2.39 or something like that. He has like a 2% position in Twitter. Elon Musk now has 9%. And so that's the power of being a shareholder. And I'd almost say that he has the power to just shut up a company if they're not doing what he wants. All he has to do is buy them out. And then now he'll be a part of the governing part of the company. So now he has a 9% stake, 9% position where he can actually speak on matters that are going on and things that are going on with the company. He can contribute towards the company improving the public persona, improving their overall image in general. And like I said, as as the highest shareholder in this company, now he gets an opportunity to tell them, hey, I like this, I don't like this, and so on and so forth. You know, and he's known as a market disruptor. So, I mean, can you imagine? He comes from an environment where he's disrupted the financial space, or the payment processing space with PayPal, right? He's disrupted the automotive industry with Tesla. He's disrupted the space travel industry with SpaceX. He's on the cusp of disrupting the whole global internet space with Skylink. I mean, he's a disruptor, and that's just his path, you know, and it's just wild. So I just wanted to share that with you all. So I'm just learning not to believe anything that people say, because if on the 14th he filed these documents for this big of a position, on the 28th he's having conversations about considering building a new social media platform. Come on, man. I mean, yeah, I'm convinced you just can't believe a lot of these chaps. But what do you all think? I mean, does it seem deceptive for you to spend $2.4 billion, and then not too long after that, you're pretending as if you're not interested? You're not interested in, you don't have a stake in this company that you're expressing some issues with. And then it becomes clear that now you have a large position, the highest position in this company, right? So I personally felt like it's borderline disruptive, and it's just him really, you know, the issue that he has, the SEC really cracks on him, and that's the Securities and Exchange Commission, is they feel like he's a market manipulator. You know, he'll go on to tweet something, and then that one security or that one commodity will just shoot up. And so they feel like he's manipulating the market by him just making mention of any security on his Twitter platform, right? So I wanted to share that with you all. But let me share this one thing, and then I'll get back to the chat, right? So check this out, right? So look. So on the 14th, he spends $2.4 billion, right? So let's see if this thing works. Please work. I hope it works, right? On the 14th, this is how much he spends, right? So Twitter is valued at $32.69, right? Check it out. Let's see if this works. Calculator. Be nice. All right. I did a whole bunch of stuff. All right, let's see. Geez, didn't work. All right, 73486. 938. Man, my memory is not good anymore, right? So look, that was his position, 2.4 billion. Check this out, right? So now Twitter is now valued at $50.98, right? So now his position now it went from $2.4 billion valuation. Now it's $3.7 billion. That's $1.3 billion in what, 2 weeks? $1.3 billion in 2 weeks. That's the power of investing right there. And that's the power of being in position for you to take advantage of something. And then the compounding effect of you having all those dollars out there working, but then once that share or that stock price goes up, now you have an opportunity to have a higher valuation. So then he can just jump off he could take out the $2.4 billion that he actually invested, and he could be left with $1.3 billion in here, and then that money would go to work, you know. But I just wanted to share that with you all, that in 2 weeks, this man made $1.3 billion, you know, as a result of one, really buying the stock when it was pretty low, when it was very low, and then participating in what I don't know if I'd say sorcery, but he participated in some wild stuff, you know. I just feel like it's $48 today, right? So it's $48 today, but like I said with you all, let's see. 3 months. Where we at? Give me some dates. Am I missing the date? I don't know why I'm not seeing the date. Here's the date. Here we go. I see the date. Top left. Here we go. On the 14th, high of $33.95, low of $32.48. Right? And look how it shot up. Look what happened right here around the time earlier this week. Look what happened. Earlier this week, this thing was just cruising along, minding its business. The news comes out that this man bought all the shares in this company. Look how much it shot up. And that's why the SEC doesn't really want him to say a lot of stuff on his page, because he's participating in these activities. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat, right? Let's see. Okay. First Gen Corporate is saying, in my opinion, Elon is spreading himself too thin. I'm curious to hear what you mean when you say too thin, right? So Peter Investor M is saying, let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can show these. All right. Give me a second, guys. We are. Yeah, let's see. All right, we're gonna keep on going. All right. I wanted to see if I could show. Okay, I see. All right, we struggle streaming over here. All right. So First Gen Corporate says, in his opinion, Elon is spreading himself thin. I'm curious to hear how you think that he's spreading himself thin. And would you say that from a market position, or would you say he's doing that from a company position? Because I don't know, man. I mean, he's in so many things. I don't know if you could say that, because he's just a disruptive, man. it's wild stuff. He's doing robots. He's doing Cybertruck. You know, they're talking about the Cybertruck. He's doing the Sky. It's not Skynet. Skylink. It's just so many stuff, right? So also by convertible bonds, Peter Investor M says. Okay, all right. I think we're still talking about the bonds. Yeah, before the billions. Shout out to the self-feeding animals out there, man. Listen, those stocks, man, those shares, those dividends. You know, there's whole communities who are dividend investors, and that's all they live for. They live for those checks that come every single month. You know, they structure their portfolios to pay them every single month, and it's really like an interesting position. Peter Investor M is saying that convertible bonds can turn into shares. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up convertible bonds. I'm not familiar with them, right? All right. Here we go. Here's another one. He says, when negotiating your salary in a corporate setting, you are asked to be compensated through 1, salary, 2, stock options, 3, convertible bonds, 4, warrants, 5, assets, 6, intellectual property. Man, I can't even listen. I'm barely even having the one conversation, you know. So put me in the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conversation, and I think there's amazing things that can happen, you know. But I've yet to be in those positions, but I'm interested to be in those rooms and to have those opportunities, you know. But I think that's the value of what we have here online, is that now we have a crowdsourced community where people are sharing various sorts of knowledge about how they can position themselves to go to the next level. I love what's happening now. Some of it, I don't know. What do you all think? Do you think that we overshare information to the point that people actually end up taking no action? Tell me what you all think. Put 1 in the chat if you think that we are fine the way that we are, or put a 2 in the chat if you feel like we're oversharing information sometimes to the point that people end up having analysis paralysis. Because I'm curious. For me, I just see that sometimes it's just like drinking out of a fire hose, and it's way too much information for a lot of these situations, right? Here we go. Elon is becoming an influencer with far-reaching access in different industries. And I agree with you, Peter Investor M. I feel the same exact way. I feel like this man is covering a lot of ground. And, you know, something that was mentioned this week was that you know the there was a mention about let me see. You guys did you guys hear about the former director where he stated that oh man, of course it's not going to pull up. I wanted to get the statement right, but I didn't. Anyway, where the guy was saying that people need to lace their running shoes in order for them to prepare themselves for Elon Musk to put them to work, right? Let's see what First Jan says. He says Peter Investor M got to consider deferred compensation. Man, listen, that's how these guys are winning, man. They're not getting direct compensation. They're being paid in shares in these positions. Here's First Gen Corporate supporting his position about how Elon Musk is spreading himself thin, right? He says Elon runs Tesla, Boring Company, some AI company. Dang, is that Neuralink? Neuralink is the one where they put an implant on the monkey, and he has SpaceX. You forgot about the internet company that he has. I think it's Skylink or something like that. It's not Skynet. Skynet is like the name of the organization that's supposed to police the internet. And now a board seat on Twitter, and he also has young children. I mean, he does have children, but his children don't even go to traditional school. His young children actually go to his school where they're being educated. They're not learning a whole bunch of stuff that we learn out here as commoners. And so I don't know if his children are in a horrible situation. I'd almost say that they're probably the most fortunate. They have access. I looked, his son had like this engineering, I want to say it was like a music engineering toy. It's like $2,500. And his son was like 5 years old and he was playing with it. And can you imagine you're playing with like an advanced level device at a young age? And so you become familiar with it, far earlier than a lot of people. Would you say that puts his children ahead or behind if they're not going to traditional school? I'm curious, because I believe that, he has an opportunity to teach them things that he believes are going to be valuable to the future versions of us. And he doesn't want them to be wasting time with all this other stuff. I mean, I don't know if your father's the wealthy or the richest man in the world, do you even need to go to traditional school if you're going to be a part of his conglomerate? I don't know. Let's see what Peter Investor M is saying. All right. You have to consider everything on the table. Exactly. I agree with you. So Gail says that she believes, now I'm even forgetting what I said, man. Hold up. The first position I said, things are fine the way that they are. And then two was oversharing. Two was oversharing. All right. Gail at night says we're oversharing. I agree. I mean, it's a lot of information. We're literally drinking out of a fire hose. A lot of times I just, for me, I've always seeked out knowledge. And for me, I just see just way too much information out there. And I think part of it is just purposeful because they understand the psychology of man and that most people are not going to take action, right? All right, so check it out. So let's see what we're saying. All right. So Peter Investor M. So I agree with you, Gail. I'm of the same thinking. All right. The information used to be passed from family to family, generation to generation within their family. In this way, at a family reunion, they talk about finance and money. Exactly. And it becomes like commonplace, right? So like the concepts that we learn at an older, in our older years, they become commonplace. They start to understand how to run organizations, how to run companies, how to have a seat at the table, to have opportunities to have these advanced level conversations, man. Think about this too, right? So I've seen children who are like 5 years old. I don't know if you all have seen on Instagram, there's some young boy, he recreates music, right? So he will listen to a song and then he will go and he'll play different instruments in order for him to get the same exact note as a song that was already created. And then he goes to different instruments and recreates it, composes it, puts it all together and plays it. And he has like a little friend who's doing the same exact thing where he's listening and he's just admiring the music. And so, I mean, I think opportunities for children to really learn things, especially during like the years where the brains are like super sponges. Why not, man? Why not? Right. So I agree with you. See, they can reduce the analysis paralysis, right, and start small bites at a time. I agree with you, and so there's just tremendous value in them being able to grasp these concepts at an early age. And you know, a lot of people don't find finance to be interesting, but for me, I just always felt like it was just a barrier to my life, and it was always an obstacle that I had hanging over my head. And as long as I don't know the information and other people know the information and they're implementing it, the the more that I'm a part of the consumed as a part as opposed to a part of the productive part, not even the productive, but maybe the strategic part of society. Let's say that, because you know we live in a capitalistic society. So the people who are the producers and then the people who are the consumers, right? Or the developers or innovators or what have you. So Elon Musk is just covering so much ground, man. So let me see if I can close some of these guys up, and so we can get to my next topic. But what do you all think? Do you all think that Elon Musk is going to make significant changes with Twitter, or do you feel like he'll just be another board member and not much will change? Because one of the things that he just recently asked the consumers is if they want the edit button. I'm not really on Twitter. It's just too much social media for me. I can't be on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. There was Snapchat. I mean, there's just so many social medias. How in the world do you have an opportunity to really do anything and to even be present in your life if you're on all the different social media platforms? I don't understand how people do it, but the one way that I think that makes the most sense is for you to do it as a part of a business and have a business strategy, right? So I believe that that is the better position. Look at this, man. Mm, mm. I mean, it shot way up. It went from $39. Let's see. We do it by the date. First, come on. First, oh, this must have been Friday. First was Friday. Okay. Monday was the 4th, 47. Tuesday, Wednesday, and now it's starting to come down. Look at that. Wild stuff. So interesting stuff, man. And I just find it interesting, man. And I feel like it was borderline deceptive, guys. I'm not going to lie. It's interesting what you can see um, on the SEC website right here. It's public knowledge right here. You can see 9.2% common stock stake, more than anyone else. That's wild. I mean, it's almost, that's why I literally called it a slap. It's like he's just slapping anyone in the organization who might have felt like, he was ridiculous for saying that they were encroaching on his free speech. I mean, all this information is here, guys. SEC website. So, you can check it out if you look it up online and you can see his filing. Right. So I'll put these links in the description, man. I found them to be really interesting. So let's see if I can. I'm not ready to stop sharing. $3.7 billion. That man is floating in money. All right. Let's see. I did. All right. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Let's see if I can get this right. Excuse me. But yeah, I find it interesting. So let's talk about this next thing right here. So Mm-hmm. What do you all know about this right here? Right? U.S. House passes marijuana legislation, right? So this has been the talk for a long time. Oh, hold on. I thought I hit that comment. This has been a talk for a long time, right? Excuse me. So this has been a talk for a long time. Legalization, marijuana legalization. And, I kind of have a divided position on this right here. It says that U.S. House passes marijuana legalization, right? And it says Oregon's senior U.S. United States senator is endorsing a vote by the House of Representative colleagues to legalize marijuana, right? And it says that the U.S. House of Representatives approved the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, HR 3617, Friday. The measure, if it becomes law, would remove marijuana from Federal Controlled Substances Act, which could also be removing the conflict between state marijuana legalization and federal marijuana prohibition laws, right? It says the measure could provide states with an authority to establish their own cannabis laws, right? And I'm curious. Now, let me see. I'm going to come back to your comment, Peter. All right. He says the measure also provides states with I stated that. Hold on. He says Senator Wyden used Twitter to write, look at that. Twitter. He used Twitter. There we go. Look at that. He used Twitter to write, ending federal cannabis prohibition is urgent for business. I congratulate the House on passing this bill. I urge the Senate colleagues to support the legislation. Look at that. He says on Twitter, right, like I just mentioned, ending federal cannabis prohibition is urgent business. I congratulate the House. Hold up, guys. It's past time for Congress to listen to the will of the voters. Look at that. Would you guys vote for marijuana legalization? Put a 1 in there if you would vote for legalization in your state. And put a 2 in there if you would not. Put a 3 in there if you don't care, right? Don't care. Whatever. Those weed heads are going to be a headache, right? All right. So marijuana legalization advocate Normal says Friday's vote marks the second time in more than 50 years of the Chamber of Congress has addressed the classification of cannabis as a federally controlled and prohibited substance and has voted to close the widening chasm between state and federal marijuana policies, right? What's interesting is this. Let me show you guys something. Excuse me. We're struggling over here, but we're gonna work it out. Right. Let's see. We can put the calculator away. We don't need the calculator now. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look what I found. All right. Legalization. Marijuana. Oh, matter of fact, cannabis overview, right? Let's take a look at this map right here. Now, I don't know where you all are at. I'm in North Carolina, right? So let's look at this map right here. Right? Let's see. I hope you guys can see that. 190. Okay. Look at this right here. So as it stands, there are literally 3 states that are taking a hardline position where they say that they don't want no public cannabis access at all. Kansas, Nebraska, and good old Idaho, right? Everyone else has either adult and medical use regulated program or has an adult use only, no medical regulated program, or they have a comprehensive medical cannabis program, or they have the CBD low THC program, right? And then, like I said, those 3 chaps right here. Hold up. Even Hawaii, look at Hawaii. Hawaii has a comprehensive program, Alaska has a full-blown legalization program. So as it stands, I think there are 19 states. There were 19 states. Let's see. Well, there's three of them that have no position. North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, all have this low THC program. And what's interesting is these guys have a low THC program right now. The question is, would they legalize it if it became a federal program? Look at Gail. Gail doesn't care. Okay. Gail doesn't care. Peter Investor M says only medical. I mean, I agree with you on that. And let's see. My apologies, y'all. I'm struggle streaming. All right. We're gonna do this comment right here. I missed. My bad, Peter. There we go. Right here. Peter said that you can't focus if you're handling more than 4 to 5 projects, and definitely when you pass 9, it becomes impossible. Elon Musk is spreading himself too thin. I mean, I agree, but I think that if he's only like a part of the decisions and he has trusted people who are implementing this stuff, I don't know if he's spreading himself too thin, man. I believe that he has people in leadership that are executing the things like he desires. But now to hear that someone has expressed, I don't know if I'd say disinterest, but expressed kind of their position about how Elon Musk has a habit of running people ragged. I don't know, man, you know. And I saw today that Elon Musk actually talked about smoking weed and Twitter, you know, today. And so that's not why I came up with this topic, but I thought that was interesting. He brought the two together, right? All right, my theory is cannabis, both medical and recreational, goes in tandem with the metaverse. Oh, okay, hold up. You're saying that cannabis goes in tandem with the metaverse. Are you saying that people will they'll have a better experience if they're engaging in some herbals on the metaverse? Hold up now. I need to hear this now. I might be missing out on this. All right, let's see. So like I said, Gail gave me a 1. She's I don't know if that's the one. No, I think that one's maybe that one's for the ganja cannabis, right? Peter's 1 for medicinal. Gail says or 3, whichever, right? I agree with you, Gail. I'm there. It says I'm opposed to recreational for one ethical reason, but not for medical reasons. You know what this made me think about, right? This made me think about how they govern alcohol, right? So in North Carolina, the state actually controls and sells, with the state or the county, they sell you your alcohol, right? So are you telling me if it's legalized that the state will be selling you weed? You know, they'll have all these weed shops where they're selling you various different strains of marijuana or cannabis. Inception. Oh yeah, I mean I've watched the movie Inception. I'm gonna have to watch it again if you're talking about bringing the two together. I don't know if I didn't pay that much attention to it. I didn't think that they were using anything whenever they were going into that 3D world or that alternate universe, right? Anyway, so that's interesting you said that though. So Peter Investor M, this is what he said. He said to explain, watch the movie Inception. So I have to watch the movie Inception and look for the marijuana metaverse cannabis, excuse me, not marijuana, cannabis comparison. But let's go back to this right here. So that map is interesting. Only 3 states are holding the line. They don't want the people to have access at all, right? So they said that this bill decriminalizes marijuana. Specifically, it removes marijuana from the list of scheduled substances under the Controlled Substances Act and eliminates criminal penalties for an individual who manufactures, distributes, or possesses marijuana. It says the bill also makes other changes, including replaces statutory references to marijuana and marijuana. I don't know nothing about that. I've never heard that term before. And so now it would be addressed as cannabis, right? It requires the Bureau of Labor Statistics to regularly publish demographic data on cannabis businesses and employees. This is important right here because I don't know if you all are aware. There's quite a few federal agencies that do not publish data based upon race, and this is important because if this information is not shared, there's no way to tell if there's a disparity in equitable positions for people of color, So I think there's this tremendous value in people having an opportunity to see the racial data, right? Right. So then right here, it says it establishes trust funds to support various programs and services for individuals and businesses in communities impacted by war on drugs. So maybe they're saying that like marginalized communities will have a trust fund. There's so many questions. Trust fund, how much is in the trust fund? Where's the money coming from? Is a part of the taxes that are collected, are they going to go into this program? Is it going to be a system where they're fast tracking opportunities for people to participate? I mean, there's just so many questions. It just says a trust fund. So it imposes an excise tax on cannabis products produced in or imported into United States, and an occupational tax on cannabis production facilities and export facilities, right? So it seems like, so what they're trying to do is they're trying to deter people from importing this, and they want this to be something that's manufactured and produced here, So I think that's really interesting. I don't know if that's, that's really going to work, but with the way manufacturing works, it's hard to tell. But what I can say is that a lot of other countries, like I think Indonesia, you can have like a small amount of marijuana and you'll be, imprisoned for many, many years. So that's really, I don't know how much export could really happen in these other nations, right? But Mexico produces a whole bunch of agriculture for America. So would Mexico be considered someone who would be impacted by this excise tax, right? So it says it makes small business administration loans and services available to entities that are cannabis related, legitimate businesses and service providers. As it stands, I think in a lot of these states that are legalized, you're not allowed to have a bank account. I think that's what they said before. You're not allowed to have a bank account at certain institutions if you run a cannabis related business, right? It prohibits the denial of federal public benefits to a person on the basis of certain cannabis-related conduct or convictions, right? They're saying that you're not going to be discriminated against, and they're saying that the prohibits the denial of benefits and protections under immigration law on the basis of cannabis related event, conduct, or conviction. Look at that. So they're not going to discriminate against you from an immigration standpoint. They're not going to discriminate against you from a public benefit standpoint, right? It establishes a process of expungement of convictions and conducts sentencing review hearings related to federal cannabis offenses, right? And it directs the government accounting office to study the societal impact of cannabis legalization. Who are they going to study? Are they going to study the people who could be involved in the business? Are they going to study the people who participate in the business? I mean, who are they going to study? It's hard to tell, man. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? There's a lot of holes in a lot of these bills. And what's interesting is that I've discovered that some of these politicians actually do not even participate in actually writing these bills. It's some think tank that usually contributes to a lot of this information. So it's interesting, right? So let's see what Peter says. Peter says the cannabinoids found in cannabis has medicinal application like pain relief and Alzheimer's, ALS, and I know that the people who have epilepsy also helps them out. At least that's what I've heard. So I think that the very beneficial components of it One thing that kind of does put me in the same position as Peter is that for recreational purposes, I think it'll be set as a trap. I think that it. I, I don't have a hard line position as far as saying that it should not be for recreational purposes, but I do see how in the state, like I said, in the state of North Carolina, where the county sells you the alcohol, the liquor, and then they set up this. The county will also set up roadblocks to entrap you and to arrest you for these same offenses. And so I think it's really designed. A lot of those things are designed for people who don't really have much control, or they're believed to not have much self-control. So they'll be doing things that they're not supposed to do, and it will not be to their benefit, right? So let's look at how much it costs to participate in this said business, right? So here's a document right here from North Star Financial Consulting, right? It says operating a cannabis dispensary, and it's just breaking down some of the finances, right? Profit margin at the dispensary, 17%. Here we go. Sales. This looks like $1 million in sales. Let me see. This like the cost of. Here we go. The breakdown is. Let's see what COG is. I'm not sure what cost of goods. Let me see COG. Why am I not COG meaning? Cost of goods sold. That's what I said. That's what I thought. Yep. Cost of goods sold, right? So this is the cost, the upfront cost, right? $500,000. Gross profit, $500,000, right? Operating expenses, $300,000. Net operating income, 165, and it's saying that 17% profit. Same exact supply store, $1 million. Same exact margins here. Taxable income, we get into the finances, and it's saying that a dispensary and a supply store have different net profit margins, right? And this is a company that says that they'll help you out with establishing it, right? So this company does not mention that the initial cost, I believe that. Tell me what you all think. Do you all think that, tell me what you think, right? Besides that, let's take a look at this right here. Let's see. Get down to the money. All right, that was the profit margin. We broke it down over there. It says medical and recreational cannabis dispensaries usually operate with an average net profit margin between 15 and 20% after accounting for taxes. However, equally important is to note that the percentage varies in accordance to state and provincial regulations, right? Operating expenses. Here we go. All right. Besides the initial licensing for cannabis businesses, dispensaries should expect to spend at least $100,000 annually in rent. But if you find real estate for cannabis that requires renovations, this could cost almost 50. This could cost an initial cost, increase your initial cost, my God, by $50,000 or more, right? Let me get a drink. So we're talking about $150,000, right? So it says that if the dispensary are purchased outright, the dispensary owners may have to worry about property taxes impacting the net profit margin. So this is a company that says that they're going to help you with rolling out your business right here. Cannabis industry banking fees. This is what I was just talking about, right? Part of the estimated annual revenue will go towards the banking fees. It costs money to have your own growing business, but the cost of banking is higher in the gray space. The gray space is the space between state legalized marijuana and federally prohibited marijuana. So that's what they're considering the gray space, right? Since cannabis is still technically federally illegal in the U.S., many banks still refuse to work with dispensaries. However, it is possible to work with credit unions and private marijuana banks in such regions. even with this being the case, some of the organizations will charge holding fees as high as $2,000 a month. $2,000. So here you are, right? You want to participate in the industry, right? Because it's in the gray space. So are we going to say that once it becomes legalized, that this will no longer be, you'll no longer have a surcharge of $2,000 a month? Like as it stands right now, people are being charged $2,000 per month, just a holding fee, right? Wow. All right. Electronics. Cannabis businesses need electronics to operate successfully. Each square foot of space could be holding thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars worth of inventory. So you need a security system. Look at that. Security system and fully compliant point of sale system to manage your inventory. Come on. I mean, imagine those guys breaking in and getting your whole stash. Look at that. Advertising budgets in cannabis industry vary, but depending upon your location, you may need to invest in more than a quarter of your annual revenue in advertising budget to compete. Look at that, man. Look at this. Attorney on retainer. When a dispensary makes money, their earnings. Hold on, guys. Oh man, hold on. My bad, yo. I'm over here. All right. Lawyer up. That's what the lead said right there. Lawyer up. I'm not your attorney. I am the lead attorney, and I'm here to help you lawyer up. Right? When a dispensary makes money, these earnings don't always come with a risk. This is why it's important. It's a good idea to have an attorney. Hold up. Don't always come without a risk. This is why it's a good idea to have an attorney on retainer. So on retainer is essentially a fund that you have paid towards an attorney. And exactly, Gail. He says, the lead says, lawyer up. You better have that guy on the hook. The lead attorney says that his retainer is $7,500, so you have $7,500 sitting there floating essentially in his fund, and I'd be curious. I need to ask the lead attorney about this, right? So when that money is on retainer, can he put it in an asset producing, or can he put it in an income producing product, like maybe like I don't know, like a brokerage fund or something like that? And then I don't know. That's interesting. I wonder if attorneys are allowed to put that money in a brokerage fund, so he could be making money on your money until you're ready to call him up. So here we go. Dispensaries are equally vulnerable to lawsuits. Thus, having an attorney ready for worst case scenario is always ideal in this space. This could cost up to $50,000 annually. Man, so many people in the pockets. 50,000, man. I mean, this is wild. I don't know if this is the gray space thing or what, man, but okay, here we go. Employees. Even a small dispensary serving adult market would need a team to operate successfully. Depending upon the size of your cannabis operation, your annual payroll could be $250,000 or more. I mean, what's interesting is one thing that I understood about running a business and even working in the corporate space is that people will always steal from you, right? So, like, what kind of measures do you have in place to make sure that people are not stealing from you? And one of the deterrents to people stealing from you is paying them a good wage, So I don't know. I'd be curious to see. I don't live in a state where it's legalized, so it's hard for me to tell if it's something that's hard to police or if it's easy. But man, I mean, it's like someone could pocket a handful. I don't know if people are weighed when they come in and weighed when they come out, but you could drink water, take on weight. You could eat food at lunch and take on weight. So I don't even know if you could like weigh an employee coming in and out. But man, maybe at lunch they can, or maybe not even at lunch. Maybe per day they get like a certain amount for free, or maybe get they get like a discounted price or something at cost or something. That's interesting. I don't know. They say how much does it cost? How much does a dispensary owner make? It says that dispensary owner makes a variable amount. For example, medicinal weed sales might earn more in one cannabis market than it does in another. However, in some spaces, medicinal or medical marijuana might not be as popular as adult use, right? Um, they said that our cannabis business might grow its own marijuana indoors. This would minimize the inventory costs when allocating some of the operating income towards elevated utilities. Look at that. It says the money dispensaries or cannabis retailers spend on inventory varies, right? That's a beautiful thing, right? Grow your own. Imagine having like a farm dedicated to this right here. You know, you have a full-fledged farm and your farm feeds your dispensary. And you have a team out there in the farm and you have a team in the store that's selling this. I mean, I think the opportunities, right? Let's see what First Gen says. First Gen Corporate says, I'm all for it. I wish those who were convicted have their records clean and have an opportunity to sell it. You know, do you believe that they'll have an opportunity? I mean, like, look at the costs associated with it. How would they, First Gen Corporate, how do you think that they'll have an opportunity to participate? You think that trust fund will create a potential opportunity for them to participate? Or what's your thoughts on that? I don't know if you're still here, but I'm curious. I'm along those same lines. You know, I would love for them. I think California had a program where they were allowing the convicts, previously convicted individuals to have first in line, right? So, how much should you expect as an operator? It says if your business generates over $5 million annually, you could expect to pay yourself an annual salary of $500,000 plus. That's not bad. That's not bad. But I mean, how much stress does it entail, right? How much does dispensary make in sales? Dispensary sales are much like coffee. Annual sales depend on several factors. Dispensaries focus on patient access to marijuana. Focusing on patient access to marijuana can run a profitable company, but they miss out on the adult use. Yeah, man. Entrepreneurs interested in operating a dispensary in the recreational space will need strong marketing campaign to acquire customers. Medical dispensary businesses will also need marketing, but the operation can become profitable solely on the word of mouth if it's in the right location, right? Hey, it was funny. I remember a couple of years ago, they were talking about a Girl Scout, not a Girl Scout troop, but a girl who was a Girl Scout. And I think she was having some issues with her sales. And her mother or either she came up with the idea for her to post up in front of the dispensary. And needless to say, they said that she sold out, you know, in a short amount of time. You coming out, getting your herbals. And, you know, you need some snacks for those munchies. And that's what you do, right? Right? So tips for maximizing dispensary profits. Use the break-even formula to determine the break-even point, right? Research your competition. Improve your product offering. Offer promotions. Streamline your operations. Manage your inventory. Consider costs. Dominate in the cannabis industry with North Star. Of course, I'm going to do a little sale in there, right? So enough about that. And so that's I don't know. I mean, for me, I don't know, man. I personally believe that it's going to be much like the alcohol industry, you know. It'd just be an opportunity for people to be persecuted, you know, for violating the rules and the laws as they stand. And you know, just interesting stuff. And I don't know. I believe that I believe that we have to be careful. All right, what's going on? We have to be careful of the things that we're asking for. The things that we ask for, we have to ask ourselves: do we have a fighting chance to participate in those things? Because when we think about situations like Elon Musk, how many people have $2.4 billion in order for them to use at their disposal? You know, and and what happens whenever people are not considered and they don't have an opportunity to participate in the industry. I don't think it's really fair for people to be in jail serving a term on things that people are making money from today. I don't think it's fair at all. But you know, I think that's why it's important to be in a good position. It's important for you to take the funds and the money that you do have and use it to your benefit. Use it to put yourself in a position that allows you to participate in some of these things. When you don't have those opportunities, when you don't have those opportunities, uh, you end up being left out. Mm, I don't know, man. That's it's one of those situations. It's almost like in North Carolina. North Carolina is a tobacco state, so a lot of the money was made from tobacco, and a lot of the tobacco farmers don't really make money no more. And this would be an easy opportunity for farming to become popular. And in 2015, no, it's 2016. As far back as 2016, I remember there were farms that were allowed to grow hemp, and hemp is supposed to be the flower. It's the plant like marijuana without the THC. And hemp has all kinds of different uses. They say that you can use hemp for like rope. You can use hemp for all kinds of different applications. And so, when people don't have an opportunity to participate, I think it's just another group of the marginalized people who don't have the assets, the money to be able to come to the table and have a piece of the pie. And so, if the trust fund is going to create an opportunity for people to participate in these industries, and maybe even I don't know if I would say that the licensing would be waived, but I mean, something has to happen to make it equitable for people who've been uh, victims of accrued disadvantage. I don't think it's fair for people to bring the Wall Street money and to compete with people who've been in a part of the prison industrial complex. I don't think it's fair at all. But it's hard to say. But um, there are really only two positions, and it's the have and have nots. And I don't think it's fair. But we're not a part of these laws. We're not a part of these laws, and sometimes these politicians are not even part of these laws. They're just speaking to lobbyists who are telling them, hey, we're going to support your initiative. We're not going to support your initiative. Something along those lines. But I wanted to share with you all that, those are things that I found to be really interesting that I've observed in the last week. The Moores Act was signed into law. It was signed into law last week. Excuse me, I lied. Not signed into law. It was approved by the House of Representatives. Excuse me. I don't know why I said that. It was approved House of Representatives. I want to share this one thing with you all. I want you all to see this. I don't know if this is. Let's see. Let me share this right here. This is what I meant to mention too. Share screen one. Oh my gosh. Nope. Okay. All right. So right here. So right here, it says. So it was introduced. Right now, it passed the House. So it needs to pass. So it needs to pass the Senate. It needs to pass the Senate, and then. Oh, hold on. I don't know if you all can see this. Okay. I think. I don't know. I'm glitching over here. So it was introduced. The MORE Act was introduced, passed the House, right? Passed the Senate, right? So then after it passes the Senate, then it's going to go to the president. All right, hold on. No, I want the overview. All right, so So once again, it was introduced. Right now, it's presently passed the House. Next, it needs to pass the Senate, and then after that, it needs to go to the president in order for him to sign it. And then after he signs it, then it becomes the law. So it's pretty far down the process. But what's interesting is I believe states are already moving towards having a position as it pertains to legalization. For me, in North Carolina has a bill in the books right now where it's an adult is allowed to have they're proposing a bill that an adult has up to 4 ounces for personal consumption. And I think that through the legislative process, that 4 ounces will become maybe 2 ounces, which could be more than other states, and which would increase the appeal and the attractiveness to people in other states. But North Carolina, like I stated before, is a tobacco state. Winston Salem, Winston, the town of Winston Salem. The cigarettes Winston is named after Winston, North Carolina, and the cigarettes Salem are named after Salem in North Carolina as well. And so there were tons of tobacco farms. They say North Carolina, Duke were funded by tobacco money. Majority of North Carolina was funded by tobacco money. And so I can't see how they would move away from the opportunity for the farmers to get back to work, to have opportunity, and turn down an opportunity just based upon the moral position. I just think that I don't believe any of these states have higher morals than they have the desire for the states to have a surplus of money in order for them to have different programs for people. I've heard of Colorado having programs where the part of the money that's collected from taxes is being used to combat homelessness and building some kind of opportunity for people who are in bad situations. So I believe that I think in California they charge like a 32% tax, something really wild. So I mean, I don't participate. I don't embark. I mean, I don't consume myself. So I'm really out of practice with all the rules and everything that's going on. But I just believe that just you can have an opportunity to participate, but it just seems like it's a significant amount of money that's required in order for you to participate. I don't know what's going on, if I'm on Wi-Fi or what. I keep on glitching, and I do not like that. Let's see if I. I don't know. I tried to switch away from Wi-Fi, and it started putting the clock up there. So I don't know, but I don't know, man. I'd be interested to hear. I'd be interested to hear. I'd be interested to hear in the comments what people think about the idea of legalization on on a federal level? You know, do they believe that it'll be beneficial to the states and beneficial to the country at large, or do we believe that it's just going to create another group of people who are being targeted? You know, in one instance, they're being sold these products, and in the other instance, they're being targeted. You know, sting operations and uh, roadblocks and everything like that in order for them to pay on the other side of the business, man. So it's just really interesting, and I don't know. Let me see. That's essentially it. Let me drop the link. I want to drop the link in case anyone is interested in coming out. Let's see if I can get this right. Uh, let's see. Oh, you know what, Gail? I'd be interested to find out from you. So I've dropped the link. If you're interested in coming up, uh, I'd be interested in having a conversation with you all. Otherwise, we could wrap it up. But I'd be interested to see how much, there's already an issue with, I remember in Mendocino County or in the areas right there where they call it, I don't think it's the Emerald Triangle. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the area where it was unofficially legalized before it was, nationally common. And I realized that the cartel also has a stake in this too, right? Like the situations where these guys would just go onto your land and they would just grow it, and then they would come and cut it at some point or another. And now you start to kind of deal with like a different group of people. And so I believe that with like the excise tax, it creates an environment where it's supposed to be discouraging people from the outside in participating in the legalization or the industry. But what can you do about like the illegal sales? Like, is the cartel feeling like any pressure for them not to participate? And I heard that, and of course I can't trust these Netflix documentaries, but I've heard that, that's part of the reason the other fentanyl became popular is because marijuana was becoming legalized in America and it was no longer a part of uh, the high profit uh, space. So let's see. So let's see. But if you're interested in coming up, I would be open to it. But now I'd be interested to hear any discoveries that maybe you made that you weren't aware of prior to our conversation today. Were you all familiar with the fact that Elon Musk purchased his position in Twitter on the 14th, almost a month ago? It'll be a month ago in 1 week. But he quietly sat there and started asking questions and making statements online as if he wasn't a major stakeholder. And so I found that to be really interesting. And it almost leads me to believe that you just can't believe anything that someone says. They always have a position. And if you listen really closely, they'll tell you their position, or if you pay attention to it. But he did the same thing when Elon Musk purchased his stake in Bitcoin. When he bought $1 billion in Bitcoin, he bought it in January of 2021. He didn't announce it until February of 2021. It's just wild, it lets it be known that these guys are moving in secret, and they're moving in so much secret that they want you to know it way after it's done, and that's probably a lot of the market. Like, look at what they call them. The guy Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman went on went on national TV talking about the doom and gloom of what was getting ready to happen with the C word, and he had already put himself in position to protect himself from a decline in the market, and then he just fully leveraged that and made tons of money as a result of it. Like, do you all think that's fair for people to be playing both sides of the position? Like, to participate in what could be deemed by the SEC as manipulative actions, while at the same time having the opportunity to profit. But at the same time, we also have politicians who buy positions in these companies and these organizations before they get signed into law. And then when they do get signed into law, these companies shoot up, and all these opportunities happen as a result of maybe the legislation that's coming through. I mean, they say Nancy Pelosi has a net worth of like $200 million on a $200,000 a year salary. I mean, to get to a $200 million valuation, I mean, they say she represents, of course, Northern Cal, but $200 million, a regular person, well, a political regular person, that's pretty serious. And so now I like how there's like a revolution now of people who are attempting to go against the machine. And so they're exposing her, they're exposing other politicians who are buying these positions, of course, to the advantage, maybe before something becomes law, and then just mimicking and replicating what they're doing. And so, I mean, I appreciate that, but then that also becomes another have and have nots game. It's like you can play if you're in position, but if you're not in position, you can't play. You can't even take your ball home because you're playing with somebody else's ball. So I don't know, man. It's wild, and it becomes more and more clear that that your position in this world a lot of times is determined by your bankroll and what you have. And if you have nothing, and I hope nobody's in the waiting room. If you have nothing to bring to the table, there's nothing that you're gonna have an opportunity to benefit from. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. But I appreciate you all. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done a live, and I appreciate you all coming through. It means a lot to me. And my goal, my plan is to have more conversation. My goal is to have more conversations and to become more familiar, more comfortable with this. Like I'm a pretty private person, and it's interesting that the things that content creation will take you through. Gail says that she quits almost every day or every time, but I love the way that she's running her platform, and I love the conversations that she's had. Transparency is amazing. I strongly recommend that you consider subscribing to Gail at Night. She's having some amazing conversations on her platform. I love the direction that she's going in, and I appreciate you all for coming through. Let me point this out. All right. So Peter Investor M says that he believes that the politicians should be transparent about their positions in these companies. I agree with you. One thing that I also heard about Barack Obama's administration, they said that a lot of the people that were part of his cabinet went on to be a part of the boards at really? hold on. Let me see. Let me see. Now I see. I see. Okay. So so they've been a part of the boards in these in Uber, and I don't know, man. So it's just wild. You know, it's hard to tell exactly what's going to happen with these organizations, man, and how they're going to use things, the law to the full advantage. So I want to welcome Gail at Night. Salute, welcome. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah, same here, same here.
Happy to catch a live.
Yes, yes. I'm so happy that you're here. You know, I loved your conversation yesterday. It was so wow, it's so compelling. You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, I think the conversations that you're having on your platform, you know, that they're very much needed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because the things I don't know, it's almost like there's just a lot of posturing that happens, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of posturing that happens where people are projecting, you know, an image that's not really true and honest, you know. And if we're not really addressing the things that we see are not serving us, or maybe things that we just experience in general, then it makes it difficult for people to be enlightened and to even hear um, the harmony pill on your
Oh,
platform,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and her speaking on her experience. You know, as a young man, I came across women who were going opposite of what their fathers had created for them, right? So she's not the only one. There was a young lady here in Cary. So Cary is like North Carolina is a suburban community.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, I'm not going to say it's middle class. It's not specifically upper class. But what when I met her, she told me that she would hang out in the projects or the hood here in Raleigh, right? And I asked her, and I said, "Why in the world are you hanging out in the projects, right? Why if you don't live there, why are you hanging out over there, right?" And she said, "Well, you know, her family has dinner every night together, and it's not really an exciting life, so she would hang out in the projects in order for her to have some excitement." And I said to myself, "I was like, how in the world do you feel like your life is not exciting because your family has structure and they're on a mission to have some kind of ritual as a family?" But
Right.
there's just some families, not to say that, you know, the Harmony Pill was like that, but I was just saying that that's another example of someone who might have really not maybe just intentionally did it, but they wanted to experience it. And like I even mentioned it yesterday too, is that there's some people who also grew up in these communities, and there's the whole notion of you not being valid unless you have experienced some kind of hardship, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's not it's not normal, and I appreciate the conversations that you're curating over there, because it can create an environment when people can be conscious of it and say, "Hey, look, like I recall how someone else was impacted by the action that their parents took, and so this is
Mm-hmm.
something that I can do myself to make sure I don't do it with my family." You know.
Right. Repeat the cycle. Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, so that's what I can say. So, is there anything that you saw today that you were not aware of? Did you know that Elon Musk? Um, did you know that he bought his shares in Twitter way back in the middle of March?
No, I had no clue. And the thing I need to start doing is, since I'm really trying to learn about how to invest. Like when
Hmm.
I started investing, I was just kind of throwing out, just kind of guessing my way around. And I need to get
Hmm.
into like what you're doing, educate myself on how this stuff works and what goes on behind the scenes and step on the news. I didn't have a clue about any of this.
Yeah, so there are all kinds of different platforms where you can learn this information. So I'm going to show you a site. So like we were saying, you have to be very careful not to have like information overload, right?
Hmm.
What happens is, and and you said it in the chat, like like when you have a whole bunch of information that's coming at you at once, you just end up taking no action, and you just end up being
Hmm.
completely confused.
Exhausted too, yeah.
Yeah, because like they really prey on people's inability to really make decisions, and so it's full blown panic. It's
Mhm.
the Fed is going up, so the Fed. So what was announced earlier this week, and I didn't even get a chance to mention it, was that the interest rates are going to start going up at half a point, half a point every. I don't know if it's going to be every single month, but they're saying that the interest rates are going to go up by 50 basis points. But there's jargon that's used to confuse people as opposed to saying it's going to go up by half a point. It's just going to say 50 basis points. So then you have to spend time to learn the jargon that makes
Mhm.
it easier for you to understand what they're saying. What I specifically recommend, from my experience, in my opinion, is people really become familiar with what their companies are offering, right? So
Mhm.
start out with your 401k and learn using that. So take your 401k and start to assess how the the investment options that they have, how they are performing, right? So when you're
Mhm.
looking at the performance of a fund, right, you want to
Mhm.
look at it at no less than a 5 year performance period, right? And it makes it a little bit tricky now. So when you look at the performance, you want to see like an upward trajectory, like in an upward motion, right? So I'm going to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So you start out with that. Don't look at anything lower than 5 years because 1 year could be an anomaly. Like look at the pandemic; it made like numbers shoot all the way up, and it was not really anything practical and real, in my opinion. And
Mhm.
then so start out with something like that, right? So you assess that. So you want to assess that. Once you assess that, you start looking at how much it costs in order for those funds to be managed, because that's very important, right? So let me show you. Hold on, I don't like this, um, because the cost to manage the funds has a pretty sizable impact on how much growth will happen in the fund. So let's see. Da, da, da. Actually, let me look up this other guy. But so you start out, look at your company 401k and look at the funds that they have, right? And you
Mhm.
want to look you want to look at you want to look at like 5 year 10 year lifetime performance, and you want to see what looks like a mountain going up. um, it can have some dips, but you don't want it to be sharp spikes. um, uh, here goes a suggestion right here. um, um, Peter Investor M says that you can read Peter Lynch's book on retail investments. He looks into companies you spend your time look into companies you spend your time and money with.
Mhm.
So the companies that you're already contributing towards, your phone company, your the various different products that you're already participating in.
Yeah, where I spend my money in, I have own some stock. And not even if it's not a whole share, I own some.
Hmm.
But I also have stock in Tesla, and I don't own a Tesla.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I have I can't even remember. But yeah, I have to I feel better about spending my money when I'm investing in that company.
I'm not gonna lie, right? So
Hmm.
so what I did was I went through the exercise with my son. I went through the exercise of companies that he was using. We went
Hmm.
through the exercise of buying shares in those companies. So
Okay.
the Nike, the company VFD, I think it's VFD. The company that owns there's a company that owns I think it's VFD. The company that owns no. Uh, Company that owns North Face, Timberland. Uh, I don't know why it's not coming to me. But
The hmm
Anyway, so VF, yeah, VF. So this company right here. So you went through the exercises of taking a look at this company right here because he's already spending his money in this company. Um,
Like an athletic. What's it? Is VF? That's the what's the ticker for
VFC.
VFC?
Yeah. So VFC is North Face. Let me pull up the companies. Hold on. Where's it at? I've not been here in a while. Yeah, North Face, Timberland. Geez, where's it at? I'm not doing good.
Does it have an about tab on there or?
Yeah, it does. Company, purpose, company history, fast facts, diversity, inclusion. Everybody has a diversity, inclusion.
Yeah.
At this point, everybody's participating.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they say, here we go, 1986.
Okay.
Here we go. Goes public. Wow, they own Vanity Fair. It says the company in 1969 enters the denim space, the Lee brand. Look at that. Lee, Wrangler, JanSport,
Okay.
Redpack. So Bulwark is they offer, I think they make FR clothes for all the utility industry, fire resistant clothes.
Okay.
I used to work in the fire in utility space. They own North Face. They bought North Face in
Van.
2000. They own Van. Own Nike.
Van. Sonny to tell her to go. You said VFC. Tell him to go and invest. Okay.
VFC. I bought it for around that much. Nautica, Kipling, Reef. I mean, it's hard to avoid these guys. Own 7, Eagle Creek. I don't know what Splendid or Ella is.
Me either.
In 2011, they bought Timberland.
Okay.
Smart World, I guess Smart World is socks. Divested 7 brand and Splendid 2017.
Dickies.
They acquired Dickies.
Okay.
And now they have
Is it Nautica?
They gave up Nautica in 2018.
Oh, okay.
And Reef. 2019.
Tour Wrangler. Okay.
So now they did some spinoffs. This is wild. I mean, they just own so much.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. 2020.
Wow.
Supreme, right?
Mm-hmm.
2021, divested the workwear, right? It's all work stuff right here, stuff utility industry or cowboys.
Okay.
I didn't even know Supreme was on the
because El Guapo, right? A Beautiful Eyes.
Uh-huh.
I know he wears I'm not sure if it was a sweater or it has Supreme that label on the side, one side of this of the shirt.
Yeah. Let me see if I yeah. So I mean, it's hard to really tell. Let's see what happens over here. Let's see. All right. So if we were looking at this company right here, now I'm not an analyst at all, but let's see if we can take a look right here. All right. So that's today, right? 5-day. So you see, it's kind of 5 days is kind of going down.
Mm-hmm.
1 month, it's a little bit jagged.
Mm-hmm.
Year to date, see right here. This is the dip right here. 51 year to date, 51.78. But it's not. At the beginning of the year, it was $75. Right now, it's $55. In a year, you see that right there. in a year from what it was in 2021. Look at that, $84, and you see it's kind of going down.
Mm-hmm.
5 year, 5 year, 2017. That's similar. See, that's similar to what it was the other day, right there. $51 right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say it's going up, going up. 2019 goes down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
going up, and then right here,
Yes.
right here. This is the pandemic right here. 55. But
$5.
the lowest was this right here,
Okay.
right? But then it goes up, and it was riding it for a while, but now it's starting to go down.
You're gonna dip again.
All right. So here's Peter Investor M. He has some intel right here. For me, 3 important metrics in the company, right? Revenue, how they make money, product
Sell.
sale or service, right? 2 is debt, how much debt they possess. 3 is R&D, future research and development, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we were going here, is this Yahoo Finance? I cannot tell. Is this Yahoo Finance? This is another tool. So see, we're learning from Peter. So Peter, tell me what's your thought on VTI, right? So I wanted to show Gail this right here.
Oh, Sincere,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
you know Destination Dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to let he can't comment. I think he's can't get to the where he can comment, but he wants
Where?
you. He is supporting the stream.
Where is he at? Oh, he said he can't comment.
Right. He's just listening in. Yeah.
Oh, salute, Destination Dad. Yeah, him and I have had some conversations, man.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I've talked to him on Before the Billions and in your platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I salute to him, man. I hope he's making some ground on his mission. So, Peter Investor M, tell me what you think about VTI. What's your thought on VTI as like a starter fund for someone who's not too familiar with the markets?
Hit the link, Peter Investor M.
Man, him and Snuggles,
Let me playing in the chat.
yeah, they're straight. They're chat only. So he said that 3 important metrics, right? Revenues, debt, research and development, right? So, so let's see if we can.
So Twitter, because I mean I have a Twitter account. I haven't used that thing in like maybe 5 years or more. But I was told that Twitter has revenue.
What are you talking about? You're talking about they break the stuff down? Is that what you're talking about? Gail, is that what you're referring to?
Hold on for a minute.
All right. So we're waiting for Peter Investing M to speak on his position on this right here. So revenues, debt to income ratio, and research and development. While we're let's see here, we're gonna go here. Are you talking about for VTI? Let me see. Peter Investor M, what is their customer base, the target market? What is their customers base target customer market share? Is that a question in reference to what I was talking about for VTI, or is that a question about something that you consider? Let me know which one it is in the chat. For me, I recommend, as far as for me, in my experience, what I've learned is that this fund right here has taught me elementary level uh, elementary level metrics to consider. And I am interested in learning, just like Gail at Night was mentioning. I'm challenging myself to learn the language, the jargon that is part of the financial markets. I think that if I don't challenge myself and I don't have an opportunity to learn, then I won't really change my conversation. I'll be talking about stuff that's happening in popular culture, and it keeps me from being able to benefit and win out here. It's one thing for me to talk about topics that are part of our popular culture, but it's another thing for me to have conversations that are pushing the needle for me and my family, and that's where I'm at. And what I appreciate about this fund is the low cost that's associated with operating this fund. And let's take a look at the performance right here. 10 years. We're going to try to wait for Gail to come back.
I'm back. I'm eating.
Oh,
But
yeah, it's fine. You're fine. You're fine. So this is the fund right here. So I'll go ahead and just go over this while you're doing what you're doing. So Gail, what I like about this fund, and Peter hasn't responded to us. What I like about this fund, so people in the financial independence community, we advocate for a fund similar to this right here. So one thing that happens is this is a fund. It's a Vanguard fund. So essentially, what you would do is, like, if you have a Vanguard account, you would get a Vanguard account. If you have a Fidelity account, then you would get a Fidelity account that's an ETF that exposes you to the total stock market, right? So total stock market ETF. So this is a popular one right here, and the way it works. There we go. Okay, here we go. So I'm moving in the right direction. Peter Investor M is the guy. So here we go. So Peter Investor M is recommending the same thing. He says you should start with basic by starting with index and ETF, right? The 11th sector using Spider funds or Vanguard, right? So you start here, you start having a conversation in this space right here, right? Vanguard, what makes Vanguard unique is Vanguard is doing what Vanguard did in the stock market what Elon Musk is doing today. They were a market disruptor, right? What Vanguard did was they created an environment where people could have low cost asset classes or funds that allowed the people to be exposed to a good portion of the market. And they challenged a lot of the traditional brokerage firms, the Charles Schwab's, the I don't even know how long ago TD Ameritrade was developed and brought to market, but I know Charles Schwab is one of the older ones that's out there, and they just challenged them to bring down their prices in order for people to have access to investing opportunities. So what happens is right here, the expense ratio. So when you look at your fund, so remember what I was saying to you before, you want to look at the performance. See, in 1 year, it would look like this, something really ridiculous, right? In 3 years, you'd have this upward trajectory. So that's 2019 to now, right? Of course, the numbers are going to look really high. In 5 years, you're going to get something that's a little bit more practical. And anything between here and maybe even here might be even what would be considered to be just an exaggerated number, right? And then 10 years is going to really give you a good idea of what the trajectory should look like. So here we are in 10 years. It kind of covers like any catastrophes that happens. It covers any things that might be anomalies, or They say that the market corrects about every 7 to 8 years. So there's some kind of recession every 7 to 8 years of some sort. Um, so so you can look at it over the 10-year period. This fund has grown a reasonable amount, right? So this is an index fund, and there's a difference between index funds and mutual funds and index ETFs. So all of them are index funds, and so index funds essentially they track the index of. Let's look up the definition so we could all be clear. Come back to this. Yeah, so index funds are a good place to start, especially with like a Vanguard, right? An index fund is right. It's an index mutual fund, and or an exchange traded fund. It opens a layer closed. Let me see. Hold on. Let's pull this up. All right. Definition of an index fund, right? An index fund tracks the performance of a specific market benchmark, right? So if it's a certain sector, like let's say it's like the technology sector, so there's essentially like almost like a marker that says, hey, we're here, like this is the top, and then the top comes down and the top goes back up. And so whatever performance is happening in a specific sector, this fund just pretty much copies that, right? It says, so it tracks the performance of a specific market benchmark or index, like the popular S&P 500, as closely as possible. That's why you may hear people refer to indexing as a passive investment strategy. Instead of hand selecting which stocks of bonds the fund will hold, the fund managers buy all or representative sample of the stocks or bonds in the index it tracks, right? And it says the benefits, right? It says low risk from a broader diversification. Each fund has pre-selected collection of hundreds of thousands of stocks and sometimes both in a single stock, right? If the stock or bond in the collection is performing poorly, there's a good chance that another is performing well. So it has somewhat like a balancing effect, right? So if it's tracking the performance of the whole market, so all the winners and all the losers will have a balancing effect. So then you find yourself kind of like at an even middle. So you don't get overly exposed to the losers. You don't get overly exposed to the winners, you know? So it just kind of puts you in the middle. And index funds have lower taxes that don't, and the funds don't change their stock or bond holdings as often as actively traded funds or managed funds. This results in fewer taxable capital gains distribution from the fund, which reduce your tax bill. Salute. Hello, Adrian. Legacy. You know.
Hello, Adrian. Destination Dad says thank you. I put it in the private chat.
I see.
You see it? Yeah.
Salute. Yeah. So the benefits to this is the lower cost. All index funds have professional portfolio managers. What they don't have is the need to pay more for their expertise and time as it takes for hand selected stocks and bonds. So it says not all index funds are created equal. We started the indexing revolution, right? Vanguard did, right? We introduced index funds to individual investors almost 45 years ago and have been the voice of indexing ever since. Our funds, like our company, are intentionally designed to make sure that when new economies of scale, make sure that when new economies of scale help us lower cost, you benefit, right? Mm-hmm. So here you go. So it says you can see how they compare. Oh man, too much marketing. Too much marketing. That was not good. All right, get away from the advertisements. All right, so here we go. It's lower minimums or lower costs, right? A minimum win, a win-win for you, right? Easier access to 40 Admiral stocks. So the Admiral shares are their mutual funds, and in order for you to participate in the Admiral shares, you have to have at least $3,000 to buy into that position,
Mhm.
right? So the difference is, so what essentially happens with the mutual funds is you buy based upon the dollar value, right? So you buy $5,000 worth of, so this is the ETF version. This is the ETF version of VTSAX, which is a mutual fund. So in order for you to buy into VTSAX, which is the same exact account except it's a mutual fund, is you have to spend $3,000. So with the ETF, it's a little bit different the way you purchase it, right? So the mutual fund, you can buy it in fractional shares, right? So you can buy a fractional piece of VTSAX after you buy the $3,000, right?
Mhm.
But with ETFs, you buy them on a share basis. So you can only buy it one share at a time, right? So let me show you. So VTI right here, where you at? See it. All right, VTI right now is $225. So in order for you to buy one VTI,
Yeah, big
you have to spend however much it is, $225,
Mhm.
whatever, right? But VTSAX, and I'm going to go here because I want it to show up in another window. VTSAX, it's going to pull up. So VTSAX cost $109 per share,
Mhm.
right? But the performance is almost exactly the same. It's pretty much the same right here, right? But so you're buying one share at a time. Excuse me. You can buy this by the dollar value, and then this one right here. Get these chaps next to each other. This one right here, you can only buy it by the share. So what happens here is, let's say, so every quarter the dividends that are paid out, right? So you remember I was referring to the DRIP program, right?
Right.
So with the dividend reinvestment program, when this fund pays you your dividends, your dollar, $2, whatever, right? Whatever the yield is, you can reinvest into the fund, right? And so when you reinvest into the fund, that reinvestment goes through as a fraction of the fund. But that's the only time where a fraction can actually be bought of an ETF. Beyond that, you can only buy it on a share by share basis,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
So let's see what Mr. Peter is saying,
He was
right?
talking about wealth engineering. He has some videos to break down the investment concept.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they
Watch.
they try to make it confusing, honestly. And say you can go from general macro, which is like a broad spectrum, to individual micro companies under this under the circle. Also check out Wealth Engineering's content. Exactly. Wealth
Mhm.
Engineering. Salute to brother JC. He has a lot of valuable information he shares.
Mhm.
Uh, um,
Did you happen to say the word legacy because Adrian popped up?
well, I said it because she was summoned. She must have sniffed me out there. Uh, she sniffed me out, and I can say that that's her favorite word. Yeah. So we're talking about a little bit of money. Today we were talking about Adrian. Today we were talking about Elon Musk and him buying a 9% stake in Twitter, and him having the strongest position in Twitter, and the fact that he purchased his 74 million shares March the 14th, and he didn't mention it. It wasn't mentioned until April the 1st, which is exactly around 2 weeks. And so we were just speaking on how that was kind of interesting. Uh, uh, so Adrian says she thinks of an investment fund, sort of a trench, a trash for investments. Yeah, I mean, I love index funds. For me, that's where I really started the conversation right here, right? Um, Gail, Peter Investment M is asking, what type of investor would you say that you are? Are you risk averse, meaning that you are avoiding risk? When the stock market goes down, do you feel like you need to sell?
Nah, I buy more.
Uh, uh, okay, so this is next is how much time would you dedicate to learn investment concepts, strategy, and market cycles?
He said, "How much time am I doing? I
Yeah,
need to set aside at least a couple of hours a week."
yeah. I mean, it can. I think wealth engineering covers some does a really good job of sharing this information. I
Mhm.
mean, for me, I'm of the thinking that the conversation starts with where you work, not investing where you work,
Mhm.
but knowing the funds that your 401k gives you access to. Because if you understand the name of the game, correct correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but the name of the game is to pay the least amount of taxes possible. That also includes the least amount of taxes as an employee. So if you have an opportunity to lower your taxable income from, let's say, $100,000, if you're getting paid $100,000 and you have an opportunity to be taxed the same as if you're making $80,000 by
Mhm.
maxing out your 401k with the 20,500, it's an opportunity for you to lower your tax burden. And that's the strategy that the wealthy do. That's the strategy that the advanced and sophisticated investors um,
I'm sorry.
push out. Now you find that's the strategy that they follow. I think that if you can focus on figuring out how to leverage what's right there before you, so lowering your taxable income by the the way that I would pour it, if it was like, I say, maybe like a bucket that you were pouring your money into, and maybe your bucket has holes in different areas, I would say HSA. Take advantage of your HSA. Look and see if your HSA allows you to invest your funds. So your HSA, um, so you'd be HSA 401k to the match, right? And then you would go IRA, Roth IRA, and then you would come back after you do the Roth IRA, you would come back and max out your 401k after you do that. Then after that, you can start working on some sophisticated strategies to reduce your taxable income. But the tax advantage, Gail, you can look up tax advantage accounts. When you look up tax advantage accounts, it really will help you understand the accounts that help you reduce your tax burden. And that's
Oh,
a good starting place as far as assessing which funds to deal with and which funds not to deal with. I wanted to show you this right here. Let's see if I can pull it up. So let's look this up right here. Um, so this is important right here, because if you really take out the time to understand just the basic stuff, right? All right, what's an expense ratio? Let's pull it up. Let's see. Okay, we're still doing good with that. Zooming in. All right, expense ratio is a ratio that's sometimes known as the management expense ratio. It measures how much a fund's assets are used for administrative and operating expenses. An expense ratio is determined by dividing a fund's operating expenses by the average dollar of its assets under management. expenses reduce the fund's assets, um, thereby reducing the returns to investors, right? It says it's a measure of mutual fund operating costs related to assets. Investors pay attention to the expense ratio to determine if a fund is an appropriate investment for them after fees are considered, right? It said they also come in a variation including gross expense ratio, net expense ratio, uh, reimbursement expense ratio. So here we go. The formula for expense ratio: the total funds cost divided by the total fund assets. So let's see. What does it tell you? It says it tells you. Uh, it says it tells you the expenses within the fund uh, generally remain relatively stable. But for example, a fund with low expenses will generally continue to have low expenses. The large component of operating expenses is the fee paid to fund managers, investment managers, or advisors. All right, so let's look at the math right here. So I'll let you guys come back to this later on. I want to get to the math. All right, so let's say for instance, all right, an example of expense ratio would be 0.221% of the equity index fund. Equity index 500 fund charges. This means that 0.21% of the assets are used towards paying administrative fees. So this is really unique, right? So let's say, for instance, Gail, all right, how is the expense ratio calculated? Let's look at this right here. What is a good expense ratio for a mutual fund? Mutual funds that invest in large companies should not have an expense ratio above 1%. Right here, right? Mutual funds that invest in large companies should not have an expense ratio above 1%, while funds that invest in smaller companies should not have an expense ratio above 1.25, right? These funds with expense ratios higher than this, they can either be viewed as expensive funds or funds that provide a special service justifying their high cost. So, the high cost could be associated with very high returns. So whenever you look at a fund, you could use this right here as a determining factor whether or not it's a good fund to consider. Let me pull this up right here. But Gail, are you aware that you can invest your health savings account?
No, I'm not. HSA?
Yes. So
I don't
you're
I don't have the HSA. I have I do the
FSA.
yeah, FSA.
Yeah. So the FSA forces you to spend the money before the end of the year, and the HSA rolls over year after year, um, and it creates an environment where you actually start to have like a nest egg that you can use towards your expenses today, your medical expenses only, or you can use it. Some people take it and they'll hold on to it until they're like 65, or they wait 20 years in order for them to actually claim it, right? So let's say, for instance, you have money today that you're spending, right? So they'll keep a log or record of that expense, and they'll put this money in this fund, and then the funds that are in there, they'll put it to work in the market, in an index fund, right? And so that money is working for them, right? So it's money that's for medical expenses, and it's working for them. And in 20 years, they'll claim it, and they'll be using the profits in order for them to get their money back to reimburse themselves, So that's one of the strategies that they have. But the unique thing, like I said, is there's no pressure for you to use this money by the end of the year, right? So we're going to do a calculation real quick, right? So remember this. I'm going to show you this right here. I know you want to roll out. I want to show you this last thing right here. So Let me pull out my calculator. Let me see if I can pull out my calculator. If it's gonna be nice to me. So I wanna pull up my calculator. All right. I don't know. Are you able to see my calculator? No? Dang, you can't see it.
I just see the calendar. Well, what is that? What's a calculator?
Nah, this is the calculator on here. Okay, all right. Hold on. I'm gonna do something real quick. Okay, so let me pull this chap over here. Give me 2 seconds. All right, so right here, Gail, right? So the expense ratio for this fund right here. Oh, hold on, my calculator did show up. It took forever. But so all right, let's see if I can get this. No, I lied. All right, so here we go. So this fund right here charges you. So it charges you this rate right here, 0.03%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way to to figure that out is let's say let's do 0.3%. All right. So in order to calculate this, Gail, you would say this right here. Let's go to the calculator. So this charges you the expense ratio for this fund is charged on $100 value, right? So in order for you to be charged this, for every $100, you're charged 0.03%, right? So you'd say 100 times 0.303%. So you're charged 3 cents for every $100 that you have in that fund, right? So let's say, for instance, you had $1,000, Gail.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you had $1,000. So you had $1,000 in that fund. You would be charged zero. So you would be charged 30 cents, right? For that $1,000, right? So let's see if this works. Okay, that worked. Okay, let's say you had $10,000, right? Times 0.03%. That's $3. So you have $10,000. You'd be charged $3 for having that in there. So that's the uniqueness right there of having an expense ratio similar to this. This is the lowest expense ratio on the market right here. And so when you mix this expense ratio with the performance, it makes it a solid investment.
Okay.
Right. So I'm just going to show you what they invested in real quick, and then I'll let you roll. So these are the companies right here that this company is invested in. So this company is one of the earlier. This company is one of the companies that I mentioned earlier that owns every single company in the world. They legitimately. You name a company real quick for me, Gail.
Apple. I see apples up there.
Yeah. So they own the most. They own most of the positions in Apple, right? And it's just wild when you see. It's gonna pull up right here. By percentage, right here. So look. So they own 448 million shares of Apple.
Okay.
That's what's invested in this specific fund right here. So this fund right here has this type of position right here. So you get exposure to all these companies by investing in this fund. And so this fund also pays dividends. It's a mutual fund, so like I said, it's a grouping of a bunch of different companies, and it's the total stock market. So that's the bond it owns right there. So these are the different positions that they have. Yeah. So like I was saying, for me, the appeal is when you see that they have a long term history. Um, so you see they own $74 billion. Is that billion? Lord, I can't even.
All them commas. We
Yeah,
got Apple,
that's,
Microsoft,
that's
Amazon, and I'm invested in all of those. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla,
yeah. So they have
and
solid positions.
yeah, those are the only ones that and I'm invested in Pfizer too.
Yeah. So
Bank of America. Okay.
so it really allows you to be exposed to a vast portfolio of companies, and these companies are generally top performers. And I mean, it's wild for me. So just like having a conversation based upon index funds is where I started my conversation. And
Mm,
then you could like go into doing the assessments like Peter Investor M was talking about, doing
right.
the assessments of how a specific individual company is performing.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you an opportunity to uh, uh, to be in position. But whenever you have an opportunity, for me, it's a wild concept for you to have the opportunity to take your health dollars. So let's say you have a relatively healthy lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still have the opportunity for you to contribute to this fund, assuming that you have a high deductible insurance plan. Because I'm not going to lie, Gail, right? So I recall, what was this? Man, when this high deductible insurance plan was first introduced, where your deductible is $3,500 or
Mm-hmm.
$7,000 for a family. I said, how in the world can
Wow.
someone pay that much money annually, right? I said that
Mhm.
I'd much rather just pay the money and I don't have to pay that high deductible. But
Mm.
then I learned the game. The name of the game is you have a HSA and you use your HSA to contribute towards that high deductible, and you're never going to really feel the impact of that high deductible for that on an annual basis. And even
Okay.
and if you have a healthy lifestyle, you actually don't use your policy at all, right? I mean,
Right.
they allow you to do preventative care without having to go into your pocket. It's a good incentive to encourage people to have a healthy lifestyle, but it's also a really good incentive to create opportunities for people to be able to have the funds to pay those high deductibles.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a complete game changer. It's hands down, in my opinion, it's like a triple threat because it allows you to lower your taxable income, allows you to be exposed to the income, exposed to the market, and it's also allows you uh, an opportunity for you to be used on a tax-free basis towards your medical expenses. And like I said before, people are doing this ninja trick now where they're taking this fund and they're fully funding it, and then they're waiting years and years in order for the account to grow, and then they can pay themselves back that money that they paid for the medical bills today. They can pay themselves in 20 years after that money has grown and appreciated. So
Mm.
there's all kinds of strategies to really, the name of the game is lower your taxable income and create opportunities for you to have upward trajectory uh, in your investment accounts. So we have NA. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I want to
Oh,
say
I said her name wrong. I think I'd be saying it wrong too. Innate kid,
uh,
innate,
Ke-
innate
Ke-
name. I
Kenya. Kenya. Let us know. Do you have the phonetics, Ine?
I think the K is silent. Innate,
Uh,
yeah.
Ine Nia. Yeah, you can give us the phonetics. So my name is Simsia, or or
You can call him Saya.
yeah. Some people call me Saya. Um, Adrian and I have the joke going on.
Yeah.
If you're gonna call me Saya, call me King. Address me like Your Majesty. But so so Adrian's talking about the ratios. Oh yes, yes, the expense
Mhm.
ratio is where it's at. And so she said, I like it when it rolls. I'm so far behind. Let me see.
Yeah,
Salute.
it's busy in the chat. Busy now. Hey
Man, I
y'all.
see it. I see it. Salute, Wally.
Yeah, Wally in
Salute,
the building.
salute. Yeah, man, it's been a while. I've been in a high on a hiatus.
Mr. Awesome, so he's ninja watching.
Salute, Mr. Awesome. Is Ninja watching, man. Hey, man, this is the conversation we want you young guys to be leading, man.
Like
Uh,
you say, you young folk, like he old.
listen, man, listen. That if I would have had this game when I was a young buck, man, I'd be in a different place today. I'm not
But
gonna
yeah, but
lie.
would you have listened though? I think that's the thing. I probably wouldn't have been interested. Well, I can't say that, but if I was interested enough, I would have been retired by now.
I mean, if someone's like having like someone would have really gave me like step by step instruction says, hey,
And walk
first
you through it.
first thing you need to do is take a look at this company. Take a look at this company. Um, Listen, right here, give me the basics. Give me how much it costs. Tell me how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what the performance looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And this was 2018 when I started looking at this. Look at the performance,
Okay.
right? Once I
Mhm.
have those two, then I can know, okay, I know how much it cost me on a dollar for dollar value, and I know what the, the historical pattern has been. Then it just creates an environment of like, how much can I buy? How many positions can I have? Um, what can I do to put myself in the best possible position? So here are some of the numbers, and like I said, it's hard to really speak hard about the numbers if they're anything beyond 5 years, I mean, below 5 years. But since inception, it's returned about 8% on your money, right? In the last year, it's been 11%. In the last 3 years, it's been 18%. In the last 5 years, it's been about 15%. Last 10 years, it's been about 14%, and they say past performance is not indicative of future performance. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a cautionary statement that they say. But since this specific fund was brought on in 2001, it's had about 8% return, right? And we would look at this guy right here. Um, it's similar, right? It's supposed to be the same fund, right? 1 year it's 11%, 3 years 18, 5 years 15, 10 years 14, and this one has been around the same 8 years, 8%. And what they're doing there is they're just pretty much taking it from the time that it was brought onto the market. They take all the values for every single year and they just divide them by the amount of years it's been on the market. So if I had those things, I would have said, man, okay, all right, you've given me something to work with. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Remember what I said before, VTSAX has a minimum investment of $3,000. This is the mutual fund, Gail, and each additional investment can be $1, right? Expense ratios 0.04%. The average expense ratio of similar funds is closer to 1%. So one thing I didn't show you, Gail. So remember right here, right? So we showed you this right here. Let's take your $100. Oh man, hold on. Let's take your $100, right? So now let's compare your $100 times 1%. Hold on, what's going on over here? My guys, give me a second, y'all. I'm the struggle bus. All right.
I'm laughing at Inye.
What you say? You're giving us the phonetics over there.
Yeah, the K is silent.
Oh, it is.
The knee emoji in there.
Oh no, not me.
So it's
Oh no.
Ine Nia. Nia.
Nia. Okay. Nia. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. All right. So look, Gail, your $100 right here, right, with the 1% expense ratio,
Mm-hmm.
right, is 100 times. So your $100, you get charged $1 for every $100, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're paying 1%, right? So for your $1,000, you're paying the same thing, $10, right? So you're paying $10 for $1,000, right? $10,000, you're paying $100, right? So you see the difference. You were paying $3 with the other fund, and you're paying $100 for this fund. So you see the power of 1%.
Yeah.
It's a sizable amount. It's a sizable amount, and it ends up really like dipping into your profits when it's much of a difference between the two. So that's VTSAX and VTI. Um, VTI, like I mentioned, fees is this fee right here, and you can only buy it by the share, so one share at a time. And then whenever the dividends are paid out, you can reinvest the money into that fund,
Mhm.
and it will buy a fraction in there. And I'm not gonna lie, like seeing those low investments, reinvestments, man, they make me so happy. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, it's just an exciting little thing to like see your little soldiers out there working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now, but we've had a good conversation. I didn't plan on holding you as much as I've done, Gail. It's been a really good conversation. Peter Investor M, saluting everyone. Salute to Wally.
See what's who in here. Legacy, legacy, legacy. Angel.
And Adrian, what can you say about oh yeah, matter of fact, Adrian, when are you supposed to take your CFP, certified financial planner?
Planner. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Gail. I mean Adrian. She
Mm.
doesn't she's coming in here all quiet and everything, not saying anything.
My
She's
bad.
sipping on. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying Wally's I forgot to message Wally. I messaged people that you were live. I forgot to message Wally. I'm sorry, Wally. You can watch the replay.
Yeah, man. Wally. I don't know if you have all selected on the
Notification
platform
thing. Yeah.
notification. Let me see. I'm stepping my game up, y'all. I'm ready to go into overdrive. I've been playing with this thing, and
Me too. I'm like I said, I still quit.
listen, listen, I'm getting ready to run out here like a crazy person. Yeah, if she goes right here, it says Gale at night. It's good for the women to get this money game.
Yeah.
Straight up. I mean, it's so powerful. And for me, the way that I've seen it is I stated it today. I said that, we should be using our jobs solely as tools in order
Yeah.
for them to do things that we need them to do.
Mhm.
Nothing more than that. And the primary prerogative should be lowering your taxable income. That's what it should be. Uh, uh, Look at Mr. Awesome saying that he still owes $73 in taxes. Uncle Sam doesn't like those exceptions, man. He wants you to claim that zero on those that W-4, man. He
I'm
doesn't.
at zero. You got no kids.
He doesn't like you selecting one, Mr. Awesome. He wants you to
Yeah.
select zero.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Mr. Awesome said in yay. Okay. That was close. Uh, let's see. I'm far in the chat, y'all. Damn, if I know I would have come through sooner. Yeah, I mean, my bad, y'all. And you know what? And the notice was very short too. I didn't have like a long notice.
Yeah.
I've been fighting with these thumbnails, and the thumbnails have been whipping me and then forcing me to spend a whole lot of time, and
Yeah.
it ends
Me
up being
too.
really late. Uh, you know,
That's, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Adrian always ends up in the bone broth conversation, and Peter Investor M is over here talking about this also citric drink like lemon, lime, and orange. TLA mention likes to mention that bone broth. Adrian, you need to get them. Uh, everybody talking about getting thousands back in returns, and I'm here barely getting 200. and all that goes towards my filing expense. I'm telling you, man.
I'll
Like,
trade with you, Mr. Awesome. You can pay my taxes. I pay yours.
listen, y'all got to learn this money game. I mean, people are trying to figure out every single way to pay the least amount of taxes possible.
Yeah, my daughter's
Um,
3 now, so I can't claim her on my taxes.
you said she's 17.
She's grown. She's
Oh yeah,
her
you don't
own
grow
tax. She's 23. So I don't have a dependent anymore like I used to.
Yeah, I agree with you, Peter. Investing and making your investments automated is a key part to separate the emotions
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of investing, and you just determine a number that works for you. But like I said, look up tax advantage accounts, um, and those are account types. But the what I've shared today about like things you could look for are good metrics to look for to determine whether or not an account is a great opportunity for you to invest, because we have to be really careful. Like look what look what Elon Musk did, right? Like we ended up being on the reactive part of what he did as opposed to the proactive. But I mean, who's to say that he would even mention that he was going to buy such a large position, right? Um, and so I definitely agree with his position, but I just think that he just says a lot, and he says a lot after he's done it, and so he has an opportunity to benefit. I mean, he made $1.3 billion in increased valuation in his holdings in Twitter as a result of his statements, so I don't know. That's really wild. 1.3 billion is a lot of money for 2 weeks of work. Um, all right, so Mr. Awesome said that he had a conversation with the fintech wizard. We were introduced to movement neutral options movement, where you make money whether the option goes up or down using derivatives. See, Mr. Awesome's getting those advanced trading strategies right there. That sounds like a Peter Investment M statement
Mhm.
right there.
Yeah. I gotta get out of here.
But yeah, thanks a lot, Gail. I appreciate you
Mhm.
coming up. It was a
It is
pleasure to have
big.
you up here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to catch you live. Hope I catch the next one.
Yeah, so my goal is to really increase the frequency. I want to start doing. I'm in tech. I'm interested in document and chronicling some of my journey as I learn some of the technology too. So I'm going to be in the streets a whole lot more, and I
Okay.
plan on supporting you all. When are you going live again, Gail?
I'm going live tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Got
It's
it.
gonna be a
Got
freestyle conversation. I have a few things on my mind.
it. Yeah.
Gonna share what happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
Just drop the link. Like let people just speak their mind, whatever.
I look forward to it. I'm going to come out there and check it out. I
Get
appreciate
my
you. Thanks a
watch
lot.
hours up.
Yeah. How you looking?
I'm over half. I'm like almost. I'm at 2,000. I'm still under 3,000 watch hours. So, but I'm well over 1,000 subscribers. I'm like at 1,450 something.
Yeah, I'm just working on churning some of my stuff, just clipping it and just dumping it. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the key. Honestly, that's I think that's the key.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's cool. I'll check you out over there though. Thanks a lot for coming. I appreciate you coming out.
All right.
You're
And
you're
shout out
always you're
for
always welcome.
the appreciate it. Shout out to Adrian for her CFP. She says looking like November for her.
November, okay.
Mhm.
Adrian, I'm looking forward to it. That's
Yep.
another lady who's gonna be talking money to all these people out here in these YouTube streets. But
You got $20, Adrian.
Adrian, can we hire you today for after you have your CFP? Can we get like a prorated price? But nah, I salute her. But thanks a lot, Gail. I appreciate you coming up. Thanks a lot.
Well, Wally was asking me, what now? Are we speaking on yesterday's talk? If so, then I have something to add. Well, whatever you want to talk about, Wally, we're gonna do freestyle. So, but something happened yesterday before my live stream that I want to share tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah. All right.
all
Good
right.
night, y'all. See
Good
y'all
night.
next time. All right.
Later.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna go through these chats, y'all. Man. Uh, Mr. Awesome. Yeah, those dividends notifications, man. Listen, they make me so happy to see. those little babies working, man. It's like I don't know if I'd call them like an ant colony where I have little ants out there like doing like heavy lifts and then moving stuff. Every little soldiers out there working, but man, those dividend notifications are a joy to see. Oh man. All right. Let me see. Wally saying use your job. Use your job, not letting you use you. Pretty much right there. Use it as a tool. Use it as a tool. It's important. I'm trying to keep it simple with the thumbnails. Man, listen. It's yeah. I think it's nice. I think you just have to really work in order for you to get it to be like something that's captivating. I think I see a lot of people using their description to really say what it is, but their picture, their image is really kind of uh, it invokes some kind of response, and so getting there is key. But yeah, I'm. I think that it's something to really celebrate. Having more CFPs, having more people who can have these conversations about finances, and for me, I've seen people in the financial independence community who've actually went the other way. They were CFPs and they discovered that, they cannot really say everything that they want because of the regulatory component of the CFP or the licensing portion. And so they find themselves just saying, hey, let me let my license expire so I can have the opportunity to speak candidly about what people should be doing. And I'm not their advisor, so I don't have no obligation to do anything outside of just share information with them. So I commend you for that. Uh, so yeah, salute. Let me see. Oh yeah, it's a pleasure to root for you. You love the concept of legacy, and for me, I've just went down this rabbit hole as it pertains to just studying money, studying the people that have money, studying the conversations that they're having, studying what they wear, like the vehicles they drive. Like Jeff Bezos drives a Honda Pilot. He might even have on a daily basis. He probably drives a Honda Pilot, but I think that he has maybe some vehicles that he's using as his investment. Even hearing that like the whole NFT movement is just generally about hedging. Is them hedging themselves against capital gains, and then making sure that they put themselves in a position to pay the least amount of tax as possible. It's just I'm seeing it's a common thread that paying the least amount of taxes is the most common of threads that I'm seeing as I learn more and more about people who have money. Let me see what you all are saying. Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna let that thing let that thing go. And what you were just speaking about is just that the collagen that you can benefit from with the bone broth. But of course, the context is what matters, and people are gonna take it and run with it. See you later, man. He drags you into that conversation every time. But I understood what you were saying. Let's see. Peter Investment M. Peter Investment M. Are you in the States? Let me see. Wally, you said drop the link. Wally, let me drop the link for you, Wally. Man, let me see. Man, I'm out of practice, y'all. Let's see. Forgot that you had to drop the link periodically. Man, what do you all think? I mean, Peter Investment M, would you recommend VTI for your grandchildren inside a Roth IRA as an employee of your business? Gotcha. I thought that's where you were. Would you recommend VTI for your your grandchildren, or would you rather they have a position in an individual stock? Salute, Wally. How's it going, sir?
What's going on, Sincere?
Man, I'm here, man. I'm glad to be back, man. It's been some time, sir.
Oh, yes, it has. Yes, it has.
It's been some time, man. Yeah, man. How's everything going with you, man? You
Uh,
sharing
it's
you
been
sharing
going.
this money game with these young guys, man.
Yeah, I am. Let me actually, because look, it was. I think it was the last life before. So I was, I did a casual live of some information about money truths,
Uh
right?
huh.
And
Uh-huh.
luckily enough, thanks to Mr. Awesome, he came through. We talked about the article that I had, and then
Uh-huh.
next thing you knew, this new subscriber of mine was actually a fintech wizard, and he dropped some major game, and I'm slicing that up right now as we speak.
Really?
Yeah, I'm slicing up for some more videos too. I can put out that video.
You have the live already up, or did
Oh yeah,
you?
it's still
Did you
up.
private?
Yeah, the live's still up. Yeah,
Yeah, I have to check it out. I have to check it out tomorrow, man. But yeah, man. So he gave some pretty good game.
yeah, he gave some great game. That amongst the tech world, and then that amongst just stock market.
Yeah. What
Mhm.
was something compelling that he shared with you that maybe you didn't know prior to the conversation with him?
Uh, yeah. So basically, what if I can remember this one thing, he basically said like, so when you think about like stock accounts like Robinhood and Webull, you have to sit here and ask yourself, well, why are they free
Mm-hmm.
services, right? And he basically said you wouldn't want to really invest in those. You wouldn't really want to invest in those guys at all
Mm-hmm.
because you're probably more likely losing with them more than anything else. And then he just throw out his suggestions as far as what he used, and and then like what Mr. Awesome said, he basically talked about like the advanced trading option as far as getting that sweet spot. So regardless if it goes up or down, you're in a good position.
Wow. That's interesting, man. And so how long does he recommend that you how long does he recommend
But
you
stay in the
spend
stock.
now you spend in learning how to determine the sweet spot?
I don't think so. He broke that down off as far as one was in the video. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think so. He broke that. He didn't get a chance to break that down, but he threw down a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, learning the game from somebody who's senior, man, I think it's really amazing. It just creates an environment. It's literally like the cheat code, you know. It's like someone who's already went ahead of you, and they're saying, hey, if you really want to win, you go 3 steps forward and then go 5 steps to the left. And there's a shortcut. You use this secret pathway, and you can put yourself in like an amazing position, man. But ah, these things don't happen if we're not having conversations, though, right?
Right. So in a lot of ways, the dude, in a lot of ways, he was like the male version of Tam with his mind frame. In that way. He
Yeah.
knows about the Linux. He basically told Mr. Awesome and me, Linux is is like the new language of
Mm-hmm.
literacy in the tech industry. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's literally on there.
Yeah, man. And Tam comes through with like a wave of knowledge, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like Tam's channel is one of my favorite channels, hands down, because she just has a wealth of information that she shares, and she's interested in people putting themselves in as advantageous of a position as possible. And you know, it's just wild to me. She inspires me to press harder and for my metrics to go up as far as like where I'm setting the bar for myself, and I respect that, and I think that we should do that in order for us to put ourselves in a different position because as it stands, Black people are regarded as having the least amount of wealth. Almost all of the groups, outside of the entertainers who I think they could people responsible for inflating the numbers. But as far as like
Right.
people in the business space and people who are part of production, I don't know if the numbers are as high. And so I'm gonna have to check out that live, man. That sounds interesting. I rewatched the interview of he calls himself Cam now. The rapper Chameleonaire, where he talks about him investing in in the financial space. Excuse me, in fintech and as a
Right.
venture capitalist and everything like that, man. And so very smart people and people who've decided to go a different way and to kind of chart their own path. I respect anyone who's doing work in order for them to to be a pioneer in the space. So I respect it.
Right. Right. Oh,
Um,
that might no. So the video it should be wait. The video name should be the 7 traits of success for people.
okay,
That's what it
okay.
should be. Yeah. Make sure you.
That's so yeah. So check out Wealth Talk Productions, right? Right.
Yeah,
So
that's the channel.
Wealth Tech, subscribe to Wealth Tech Productions, or just check out his channel. He has some really good information. He's a young guy who's taken upon himself to school the young guys on the game, because as a young person, compound interest should be your best friend. If you have an opportunity to latch on to compound interest as early as possible, it's going to create opportunities for you going forward, for you to see the true upside. I mean, they say that someone who invests from the age of 18 to 40, because of compound interest, they don't have to invest another dollar. And then the same person who would invest from 40 to 65 would never ever be able to catch up to the person who only invested from 18 to 40 because of compounding interest. So it's not about just putting a whole lot of money in one year. It's more so about the length of time that you've had your funds in there, and interest compounding on top of interest. And that just creates that environment, like what we were talking about, the drip program, where those funds are being reinvested into the account, but then you also have the interest that you're gaining as a result of the fund being put to work out there, man. So I would say there's just amazing things that you can gain from that. So Adrian said that she'll check you out, and then Peter, Mr. Investor M, you will go with. So he was talking about, in reference to his grandchild, he would say you go with index or ETFs plus some bond or foreign stock. So I would concur with using Vanguard funds. Yeah, man. Vanguard has a strong position. I think it's just safe for me to just say Vanguard owns essentially the whole world. And if you understand that they own a lot, then you won't be surprised by like who is in the top 5 position in just about every single company that's out there. I mean, you could name the company and they'll be in the top 5 positions. And it's just really, really impressive. So Adrian has stated that she needs to rest her eyes, and it has been fun. It was definitely fun hanging out with you, and cheers to Tam. Tam is definitely like doing some amazing things. I love the conversations that she's having. She's forcing us to improve our acumen as it pertains to investing, and having the ability to assess, things that are happening in the future. I love what she talks about with you having an income, fighting to be an accredited investor while it's still reachable today. $200,000, $200,000 annually in order for you to be a part of that conversation, um, or having a valuation of $1 million. And I think the $200,000, you have to make it for at least 3 years, and the $1 million valuation cannot include your personal home. So it's definitely very good information. And what I really like about her plan is her 1% drawdown strategy. So she says that if she has, when she retires, she wants to have maybe like something like $10 million and draw down 1% on that $1 million in order for her to be paid by her investment $100,000 a year, you know. And so it's really impressive. I like that strategy. Um, Peter Investor M is saying, but bonds can be reduced or substituted for commodities and currencies, future markets, and some crypto exposure. So yeah, I mean, I think that crypto is a great space, you know, to take advantage of it while it's in the early adoption phase. And now, and I need to do a video about it. Now the government has an executive order in order for them to start taking a strong look at crypto. The government, there was also another person in the government who was quoted saying that cryptocurrency is transformative. So if the US government is now starting to welcome it, what does it tell you? That tells you that the adoption phase is getting ready to be into go into hyper speed. And once the government green lights it, man, I mean, it's gonna go wild. So I definitely agree that if you have an opportunity to understand it, that's why brothers like Wealth Engineering, brothers like Perry and Likely are great to follow because they share information about how to get involved in this crypto space. And there are plenty of other people as well, but those are people that I'm familiar with, who I'm learning from as well. So it's helpful to have those conversations. So Tam, Peter Investor M is agreeing with us. Tam is a wealth of knowledge. She operates at a higher level with hedge funds and institutional investors. I mean, she's a part of those conversations where if you're an accredited investor, you get to get pre-IPO consideration or pre-IPO opportunities to invest into these funds, and you get to be a part of like the fundraising stages. Just amazing opportunities. Look up. I recommend you look up becoming an accredited investor, and they're interested in actually changing the net worth. They're interested in changing the net worth from 1 million up to $10 million. And so once that happens, how many people are going to be left out of that opportunity? You know, the same way people are left out of the opportunity to invest $2 billion in Twitter. The same way people are left out of the opportunity to invest in the marijuana or the cannabis industry. So it's important for us to run secretively behind the scenes towards putting ourselves in a better position. So I love what Tam is talking about. I love the direction that she's moving in, and I love how she's challenging us to have a better conversation, you know, and to get away from the popular culture stuff that it's going to have a short-term impact on our financial well-being. But is there anything else you're interested in sharing? You're interested in sharing, Wally?
Nothing much, man. I mean, I just want to come up here and support. You know, give a
Man,
little something.
man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you for always being welcoming to me, and you know, your brother to the channel. It's really
Yeah.
amazing things that are happening out here, and it's a pleasure to be back. You know, it gives me a great amount of joy for me to be here and not to be completely talking to myself, and to be amongst family. And you know, I think that one thing that I'm discovering is it's not necessary for you to know all the information. It's fair for you to say, hey, look, we can all learn from drilling down on some things that are being said, you know, like looking at like not just what's being said, but also what's not being said. And like I did not know that the SEC published these transactions. I did not know that that Elon Musk, you know, asked questions about creating a social media platform when he was already a heavy stakeholder in Twitter, you know. And
Right.
I don't know. It's just wild stuff. And I think that, it gives me an opportunity to really consider it's like, are these people really sharing information that is genuinely uh, for general consumption, or is it information for it to incite a response to move the market to where he makes $1.3 billion in 2 weeks? And I'm not saying that from like an envious standpoint, but I am saying that it creates an environment where him being positioned to buy $2.4 billion in Twitter also positioned him for him to make $1.3 billion as a result of the conversation that he incited. But beyond that, it's position, and I think that's just the game in general. That's the whole finance game, being in strategic position, and you can do that with something as simple as your paycheck on a biweekly basis, making strategic decisions with the income that you're making on a biweekly basis or weekly basis, and that can be like the engine that gets you started on your investment journey. And that's what's done it for me. That's what I believe has done it for a lot of people. A lot of people are first generation rich or first generation financially aware. So I appreciate it. I commend you for what you're doing in as a young man, and continue to work, man. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, everyone from my point of view, I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have the starting basis of a lot of things. So that's what my platform really is all about.
And what I'm discovering is that the most important thing is just to have regular conversation. When one thing that I learned from Tam that I really appreciate is when there's words that she does not understand, she highlights it, right clicks, and searches the word, and then she looks up the definition. You know, and
Yeah,
that's
right.
an important tool, because to pretend to know, and that's something that TLA actually mentioned. He said that do not have an argument or disagreement with someone and they allow them to use words that you do not understand. Stop them, get clarity on what exactly they mean when they say what they say, and then you can come back from an informed position and actually have an engaged, educated exchange. So for me,
Right.
that's been like a major key. And I've also learned the same thing from Tam. Whenever I see her reading articles, she highlights words she's not really familiar on the context that they're using it in, highlights it, right clicks, select search in Google or search in whatever. It goes out there, search, she reads the definition, and she comes back to the article, she continues to read it. You know, even a model where she's just going through the article, you see that it's being discussed, and you're going through the article and you're sharing it from your standpoint. You're just sharing it with the people. So for me, I like that formula, and I like the direction that she's moving in with her content, and there's a lot of value in it, a lot of value.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, man. I'll definitely check out that. I look out for those videos that you have coming out, and I look forward to listening to that and watching that stream that you discussed, because I'm interested in learning more, because I'm just getting started in the investment game myself. So anyone who knows
Right.
more than me is an asset, in my eyes.
Yeah. But the biggest thing that the biggest thing he actually said on that video was, I think he said the best move, I think, was to go with interactive brokers.
Interactive.
Yeah, interactive brokers. Like that's one of the big ones he said to use.
Yeah, I have to see what he's saying. I'm not understanding what he means by interactive brokers.
No,
Uh,
that's a brokerage firm for, I think, amongst the stock market.
really? I have to look them up. Interactive
Yeah.
brokers. I have to look
Hmm.
that up, and see exactly what it looks like, because this is news to me, and that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. So I'll definitely take a look at it, man, and I look forward to checking it out. And I look forward to checking out, your future content. I want to say I need to double check and see if I have the notifications turned on for your channel, but you're definitely a brother to the channel, man. I look forward to checking out that content, and I look forward to those clips that you're gonna come out with too.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Cool, man. Well, have a good night, Wally, man. Salute. I
Yeah,
appreciate
no
you.
problem. Yeah, thank you.
Later. Well, yeah. Well, that's it. So we're right at 3.5 hours, man. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you all that came through. If you could do me a favor and hit the like button and consider subscribing. I'm interested in just having conversations similar to this. Even if it's topics that I'm not 100% familiar with, we can go through the information together, learn together, because I don't know a lot. There's a lot that I don't know. There's a lot that I'm interested in learning, and there's tremendous opportunities with today's technology, with information. All it's a matter of just a couple of keystrokes. And Peter Investor M said said that Interactive Brokers is just like TD Ameritrade. So I have to take a look at them. I'm not familiar with them, but or familiar with the fund or what have you. But there are a lot of guys out here who are out here interested in getting a piece of the pie. The Robin Hoods, the Weebles, the SoFi. I mean, there's all sorts of accounts out there, and I definitely appreciate anyone who comes and shares information. Like I said before, this is not investing advice. This is This is financial information that should spark a desire and an interest in you researching and finding more information on these topics that we discussed. I think that if we continue these conversations, it's going to create tabletop discussions with our family, and hopefully it's going to create tabletop discussions with our children, and then we'll be moving from an informed position with our life, and we won't be in such a scattered and distracted life with everything that's happening in popular culture. So I appreciate you all that have come through, and I look forward to the next conversation that we have. Until next time, peace.